afternoon and welcome to the Sydney Cricket Ground. Just as the siren signals the end of the reserves game here, and the Sydney Swans have broken through for a win over Melbourne, who played in the VSFL up here in the reserves today. Well, the seniors match, of course, is between the Sydney Swans and the Adelaide Crows. One favoured to be right up there for the premiership, and the other one perhaps favoured to win the wooden spoon as they did last year with just one victory. But, well, a special guest up here today. Unfortunately, won't be running out for the Sydney Swans. He was rubbed out in a pre-season practice game, and it's a welcome to Dermot Brereton, talking to us instead of playing. Dermy?
Thank you.
Well, what about that? A 7-week rub out at the tribunal, and you've had a bit of an appeal. Are all the avenues for appeal closed now?
I'm not too sure. I'll just leave it in the hands of the club. If they want to pursue it any further, that's up to them. But obviously, the Channel 7 and the league being very fair, they would have videotaped this reserves match too and seen every incident that went on here too.
Well, about that, you would have been aware that there are a lot of news cameras there that day.
News cameras on the boundary, yeah, that's correct, and they're at ground level. They're not really at the height which normal cameras are for the footage of AFL games, so that was a bit of an abnormality in itself also, Drew.
Do you feel as though you let the club down, though?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, the only way I can pay back the club for the faith they've shown in me is get out in the ground. So, you know, not being out there for one reason or the other is not to the club's benefit, yeah. And you're working pretty hard, so you'll be fit and ready to come back when the suspension runs out? Well, we came here today and came down to see a few of the boys before the game and tell them a little bit about some of the guys who might have played on or whatever, and was then informed that we had to go for a bit of a training run, which is fine by me and absolutely makes sense also. So we've gone and done that, and the boys are about to come out on the ground now. So the Swanettes are just passing me by here, actually. Well, I see actually Derek Kickett played in the middle in the reserves, and so they're trying to run some weight off him, perhaps. Are you doing special sessions? Yeah, Derek is, and while I'm out over the next few weeks also, I'm going to be working along with Derek 3 mornings a week on top of the training sessions that will be given. But Derek came in and he was about 96 kilograms, and he said his playing weight's 86, and I think he's about halfway at the moment. So I would imagine when he gets to about 2 or 3 kilograms over what his normal playing weight is, he'll just about be ready for seniors, and he'll get that off in 1 or 2 games. So he's looking very good, and actually his ball handling skills are well, as everybody knows, they're quite good. They're brilliant, actually. Good on you, Dermot. Well, looking forward to seeing you back in those famous, familiar red and white colours. Thank you. Well, the AFL has used names even bigger than Dermot Brereton's name to promo the game. This year they've gone overseas for some of the biggest names in sport. This is AFL Football 1994.
Full contact, no armor. Yeah, I like to see that.
You're telling me this guy can catch a ball 12 feet in the air. I'd like to see that.
Oh, what a block! These guys spit the dummy at the umpire? I'd like to see that.
Sydney versus Adelaide. I'd like to see that.
This is really special. Out here, you can feel the dream time all around you. Very few white people have ever been through this part of the country. You can go for weeks and weeks without bumping into anyone. It's about as far away from civilization as you can get. Talking of civilization, some geo mates of mine are crop doctors, I call them, but they're dropping in some supplies for a project we're working on.
G'day, mate. What captain? Ready for a cool one?
This is not bad. I remember way back in the early army days, we used to have a saying, 2 cans per man, per day, per apps. I reckon I could handle this kind of project. Doesn't get any better than this.
Alexander's Riders by Lee sale. Men's riders were $65, now $39.95. Boys' riders were $55.95, now $35. Riders by Lee, the jeans that fit. At Alexander's, the look, the name, the price.
Challenge on the ball. What do you reckon?
Oh, great idea. Wish our bank had thought of it.
Anything that puts Adelaide off his kicker, mate. It's all right by me.
Oh, yeah, they're a competitive beat. Good on them.
Yeah, I reckon it's a great idea. You get a kick, crackers.
It's great for businesswomen. Fantastic thing.
It took a lot of pride and plenty of guts and determination to get where they are. And you know something? Challenge will never let you down in a crunch.
Jazz at midnight is the sultry sounds of the music of the night.
Moonlight.
Featuring some old and some new legends of jazz. The Great Satchmo. Over 120 minutes of music from the masters. Charlie Parker. Miss Ella Fitzgerald.
Won't you come along with
Jazz at midnight. The only way to fly from J&B.
Tonight,
mate going off. Going right off.
Join Steve Monaghan.
He's opted for the steak.
Lucky. And Jimmy Barnes.
We were going off like a frog in a sock.
In the craziest hour of comedy on TV.
Juliet! Drilling banjos! Open the bloody door!
There, sort your life out.
It's Jim Owen.
Welcome to last day. Really enjoyed that. Going sick.
Can I speak to Bono, please?
Australia's maddest comedian.
You told me that!
Jim Owen, 7:30 tonight on 7.
Welcome back to the Sydney Cricket Ground as the Swans do their lap. No sign of the Adelaide Crows as yet. And it's a pleasure this year to welcome a new boundary line commentator for 7 Sport at the SCG, former Sydney Swan Neil Cordy, who retired last year during the season after adding just one game to make it 236 in his career. He got almost 100 for the Swans at 96. He played 5 state matches, and it's a very warm welcome to 7 Sport, Neil.
Thanks, Drew. Nice to be here.
Well, I know that you're coaching in the Sydney competition, so your weekends are pretty busy at the moment.
Yes, although we were beaten yesterday by David Murphy's team by 5 points on the last kick of the day, but yeah, it's keeping me busy.
Now, even though you only finished with the Swans last year, you've probably got a lot of new faces there. 12 months is a long time in football.
Yes, it is. Well, the Swans this year have recruited 18 players from the draft, which is, I don't know if that's a record, but it must be close to it. And of those 18, they've got 4 players that are only 17 years of age and 8 players that are 18. And it's almost like an under-19s team.
Yeah. Well, our 2 boundary line blokes are Neil Cordy and Neil Curley, who's made the trip over today from Adelaide. Now, we saw the Crows out there. The big question has got to be, is Modra there?
Well, there's bad news for the Adelaide people. There's no Modra and there's no McGuinness on the ground. So both those players out with injury, which is a huge blow as far as the Crows are concerned. Both been brilliant this season up to this date, and their loss will be a big loss to the Crows, and it's something maybe that the Sydney players, Neil, may be able to exploit.
I think so. Well, the SCG has always been a terrific ground for full forwards, and Simon Mitten-Connell has, since he's been in Sydney, he's actually averaged over 5 goals per game, and to lose a key player like Modra, it's going to be a real loss to them.
And also, of course, McGuinness. I feel that we can get a player to replace Modra to a degree. He'll kick 5 or 6 goals, but replacing McGuinness, no one's to be able to do that to this stage, and there's a huge task thrown upon, say, Liptak and Brown and young Powell now in this game here. Graham Corns last week was very unhappy with the way they finished. He said they stopped using their heads and delivering the ball. He's looking today to start very hard, to use the ball better, and to put pressure on Sydney players right from the word go.
In a word from the 2 of you, your selections?
Well, I'm going for the Crows, naturally, Neil.
Swans by 2 goals.
I would have expected nothing less. Welcome to the show. And welcome Gerard Healy, former Swan champ himself. Now, with those 2 stars out and on a small ground, will it make a difference to the Crows?
Well, I don't think the Crows can replace Tony Modra, as we just heard from Curls there. The good players play well on any size ground, and I don't think this ground, the shape of it, will worry the Crows. They've got a good record here, and I'd expect that they'll go on to quite a comfortable victory. You see there the Sydney side, we've got some new players for Sydney. Darren Gasper, the #1 pick in last year's draw. draft is in for his first game. He's been picked at centre-half forward, but I'd expect he'd play either on the half-forward flank or perhaps in the back line. Mark Hepburn had stints with North Melbourne and West Coast. He'll probably line up at centre-half forward. And Scott Watters is into the side, and he hasn't had too much football, so there's a bit of a fitness doubt about him. And for Adelaide, of course, well, there was a lot of cloak and dagger stuff about whether Modra would be in or not. We know now that he isn't playing. Groom into the side, Matt Powell also into the side. Powell has a bit of a problem. Every time he plays, he gets knocked out in his 2 games today.
OK, thanks, Gerard. Well, 2 other games being played today down in Melbourne, Collingwood and Footscray, and also Carlton and Geelong. And during the day, we'll be keeping up with the progress scores of those games and showing highlights. But as some states will be taking replays of both those games, we'll give you plenty of warning to look away if you don't wish to know the scores of those games before we show the highlights today. We'll be back here for the start of the game between the Swans and the Crows after a short break.
The name of the game is Australian.
Properties on the market. If you like a 4-bedroom family home, then you will miss it. Only missed out last week. 80 now. Looking for 90. I'll take a 5 if you like serving you. I'll take a rise of 2.5. 7.5 now. To get you to the centre. Can't buy that way. This is the way to go. But the second call. It's going. It is going. It is sold.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Super XHP, you say? The what? The latest SH formula. Who? Yeah, no, mobile. Yeah, mobile. M-O-B-I-L, right? Extra protection. You're talking my language now. OK, thanks, mate. He asked me why I'm not using mobile Super XHP.
You big dummy.
Mobile Super XHP saves you worry in the long run.
Challenge on the ball. What do you reckon?
Oh, I reckon it's about time a bank got on the ball, Coach.
It's good for families.
Keeps the price of taking the family to the footy, Dan.
Great, they helped us out with a home loan and that suits us just fine.
Any kids yet?
Yes.
I reckon it's good to have an Aussie company sponsoring football. Mate, this challenge mob is showing a bit of form lately. If they had a Brownlow for Banks, I'd put the red on.
A revolutionary discovery is changing the way men think about colouring their grey hair. It's called Just for Men. Simply apply and in 5 minutes shampoo out. Your grey is blended away. Look at me.
Just for Men.
The Pizza Haven 1990 Mega Family Meal is here. 2 large pizzas, 1.25 litre Coke, and a Twisties Mega Pack, all for just $19.90. Phone 131 2 for 1 for Mega Family value.
Keep your eyes open for a bargain. Car City.
With 35 independent dealers, the competition couldn't be stronger. Car City Ringwood is alive with bargains, and there's 35 dealers crazy to do a deal with you. Playground, kiosk, and parking. Hurry to Car City Ringwood.
Keep your eyes open for a bargain. Car City.
415 Maroondah Highway, Ringwood.
Move it on up to Hit Machine 4. 20 hits from 20 artists, including MP Pop, Baby Animals, and Jimmy Barnes with the Bad Loves. Def Rhyme and Urge Overkill. More hits from Culture Beat. There's EYC, Sharnay, 2 Unlimited, and more. Get into maximum overdrive with Hit Machine Volume 4.
These days we're more sensitive to our body's needs. I want a really effective antiperspirant deodorant that's gentle to my skin. Rexona Hypoallergenic Roll-On is alcohol-free, so it doesn't sting, even after shaving. Its gentle, effective formula gives me long-lasting confidence. It's the one step in my routine I never forget. New Rexona Hypoallergenic. It won't let you down.
Welcome back to the Sydney Cricket Round. Joining us in commentary today, Peter McKenna. Afternoon, Pete.
Good afternoon, Drew. Good afternoon, Jared. Good afternoon, Peter.
Now, what do you think with these two stars out for the Adelaide Crows? Will you give the Swans a chance?
Well, it evens up a little bit, but I still think Adelaide have got too much class for Sydney. Sydney will be enthusiastic and we'll have a go. There's Mark Rasciuto heading down towards full forward, Jared.
Yeah, not surprising. Rasciuto played there for a short period of time last week against the West Coast Eagles. Did quite well, kicked 2 goals after a pretty ordinary spell across half-back. So you'd expect him to be at the leading forward. Not a bad way to go here at Sydney Cricket Ground because the ball can come out of the middle very quickly. You'd expect Adelaide to have an advantage there, and they'll be going long bombs down to probably Tony Hall will take the big mark, and Rasciuto will be the leading option.
And we just saw Simon Minton-Connell down the other end, and he's a very good full forward.
So we get underway here at the SCG. Actually, the Crows have a 100% record against the Swans in Sydney. Bickley gets the first kick of the game up towards half forward. Smart off to Jarman, who started in the 18 today. Jarman's kick bouncing towards the forward pocket. Hall taken out of it by Considine, and the ball rushed towards the boundary line. No, still in the field to play. Armat breaks free for the Swans. Towards the outer side, Anderson, finger tipper. Oh, Smart had it spent, and he's lost control of it. McRae up towards half forward. And a chance here for Hepburn. Buried in the tackle by Jamison. And a free kick to Hepburn, the tackler in the back.
This is Mark Hepburn, the former West Coast Eagle and North Melbourne player. Towards upper order, the mark drop as Rouvray gets in a hand pass. Further afield it comes. This is Mark Bickley racing away and bringing it towards half forward towards Wiedemann. Wiedemann marks. Sprints clear onto the left foot. Here he goes, bringing it in short towards the leading player. And that's Mark Rasciuto, a beautiful lead, straight up the middle.
Well, the only way to play Sydney is to go down the corridor with very wide wings here, and you can get lost. But the Crows do play well. They play direct football, and this player is going to be a very difficult player to combat.
Well, Rasciuto from 45 metres floats it in. It's close. I think he's just missed this. He has, to the right. But he moves very quickly, Mark Rasciuto, so as we see Mike Willesee looking on.
Now Considine with the job to bring it in for the Swans. Fine and sunny conditions. Comes to the base of the pack. Creswell. Centering kick, who has given it to a nest of Crows. Oh, McDermott's hand pass is straight. Lawson for the Swans. Takes it backwards, back into the 50, and kicks out wide Daniels. Just behind centre wing, Jason Daniels, the ex-Saint. He comes inboard. Rose. Kapler. Trouble for Kapler. He's swamped. And it will be a ball up. 3 umpires in charge today. Jeff Caulfield, Grant Vernon, and Tim Pfeiffer.
So the bounce on centre wing, it's Rose versus Wren. Wren won it. Daniels, quick kick. McDermott has it kicked away by Lewis. Lewis did that very, very well. Hand pass away was by Lang. Now Kapler with a chance, races in the goal. And misses because he couldn't get onto well, he got onto the left foot, but he was off balance. Should have kicked it on the right.
Well, young Darren Gasper has lined up across half forward, across half back, picking up Groom for the Crows.
Well, here's Hart receiving from Rouvray. Ben Hart, great young player, brings it towards the half forward line. Some pushing and shoving going on. Gasper was the Sydney Swans player there. Here's Greg Anderson racing after. He'll try and get onto the left boot. He does get his boot to it too. Centre wing, here's Jason Daniels with a quick hand pass. Kelly with a wide hand pass, but a free kick in the meantime at the back, and a holding decision to Dean McRae. McRae, the long kick. He was looking for Minton-Connell. Hart chips across the front of Dale Lewis. They race in after it. Here's Peter Philandia, the former Bomber, with a hand pass. Thrown away. Philandia again is there. Here's a quick hand pass. And the Swans go forward. Once again, Minton-Connell appealing for the free kick. The ball eludes him and rolls over the line and through for one behind. Here's Troy Luff, recruited from Terrelgan, which produced Bernie Quinlan, of course, and also our boundary rider, Neil Cordy.
Kick in by Rouvray, just clears the 50. Jarman one hand to it. Lawson. Daniels has been prominent early, takes a high tackle, and will take a free kick.
Well, Daniels has got the job on Andrew Jarman in the middle. I think it's good to see Andrew Jarman getting a full game of football.
Lewis is there. Oh, brilliant mark by Hart coming over the top.
Yes, well, Ben Hart was just a little bit off the boil last week. Didn't get a possession in the last quarter when many of the Crows went missing. But as we know, a very talented young player.
Looking for Tregenza. Two speedsters out here. Lawson punches from behind, which is no mean effort for the little bloke. And then it flies a tackle on Wren. What a ripper. A chance here for Kelly. He goes long, and it's away to the right and out of bounds on the full.
Well, Paul Kelly, Gerard, his field kicking is very, very poor. He should have kicked that goal.
Well, Paul Kelly is an absolute goer. There's no doubt about that, but technically he has plenty of faults.
Well, he misses a lot of shots at goal. Here's Rose at the back. Oh, Tregenza did it beautifully. To McDermott. McDermott chips it in low. Nigel Smart went without it. Bayes is picking him up. Bayes onto the right foot, clears the boundary line, so a penalty kick down here on centre wing to Tregenza.
Not a bad matchup for Nigel Smart. Mark Bayes has got the athleticism to go with him and the penetrating kick to hurt him if he gets away from Nigel Smart. So Bayes will have to be attacking and Smart will have to watch his defensive work.
Chris McDermott looking for Tony Hall, who's at the back, but he is out. Mark, that's a good mark taken by Ed Considine.
Oh, poor hand pass. Put his teammate under pressure. Eventually, Creswell out of trouble to the 50, and Daniels. Across the half-back line, he sweeps the handball. Now for centre wing and Kelly. The hand pass there came from Damien Lang, the youngster. Looking all right, the Swans. Back to Kelly, kick smothered. Lewis with Hart. Hart sees the ball out. But in that play was Damien Lang back there on centre wing, playing his second game, an 18-year-old All-Australian Teal Cupper from last year. Mostly sunny, moderate northwesterly winds. 25, we've reached the top. It's very, very nice in Sydney.
Well, here's Matthew Liptak. He loves it in defence to Wiedemann, a good, strong mark. And already the roars are up for Wiedemann as he kicks it wide. Scott Lee. It's almost on centre wing. Now he's looking for a leading player. This is Mark Rasciuto again, races out. It's a real hamstring stretch of that. He couldn't take the mark. And there's Dunkley, that awkward-looking kick to the half-back line and straight into the hands of Tregenza.
Well, already 3 times this quarter, the Swans have come from defence and turned the ball over with poor disposal.
It's at half-forward for the Crows. Shuffled out. Ahmet went without it. Liptak and Brown. Now, it'll be interesting to find out where Liptak is playing. He was down in defence a moment ago. Now he's up on the half-forward line. David Brown looks on. The bounce at half-forward. Adelaide's end of the ground. The big fly was by Nigel Smart. Here's Peter Philandia coming back to the pocket. Hand pass was from Dunkley to Considine. Considine to the half-back line. Mark Bickley back with the fly. A great mark. Top mark.
He's a talented player, Bickley. He's probably been the Crows' best player this year, along with Wren, perhaps McGuinness.
Liptak. Hall, yes, takes a good mark. They've used up 7.5 minutes, and so far we're goalless.
Here's a magnificent kick here from Matthew Liptak to the leading Hall. This ground will suit Hall.
Tony Hall right in front, 35 metres out. Might have slipped to the right. He's missed a sitter.
Last week, Tony Hall was struggling a little bit up in the pocket, and they pushed him up to the half-forward flank. He had about 16 possessions, kicked 1 goal forward, had a lot of shots from outside the 50-metre zone. So here in Sydney, I wouldn't expect he'd get sucked down the ground as far, and he'll be in a far higher percentage area to kick goals, and that probably should have been one of them.
Made a pretty good start so far, the Swans. They started well in their opening game for the season against the Bears. In fact, led by 32 points at quarter time before losing by 10. Considine, he's not too sure here. Goes towards the outer side. Oh, well, the youngster was spearing up the ground, and meanwhile Anderson kept his eye on the ball, and as Lang was 30 metres away, took the mark. Into Jarman. Rasciuto from behind this time trying to punch, and the ball out of play.
Right beside the behind post, as you see Rodney Maynard looking on, and the youngster on the right of screen there is Matthew Powell, former South Adelaide, as we see the sportsbook odds.
Seen some favourites get bowled over this year.
Adelaide hot favourites, 9-2 on, as you can see. That was Lang getting it across to McRae. Now Philandia, good play by Anderson. McRae again, chips in, gets it to Daniels, then back to Bayes via McRae, and Bayes with that sweeping kick towards the half-forward line. It's knocked on by Hepburn. This is Tregenza, Simon Tregenza, towards the centre of the ground, the Bickley. As they go forward once again, that was Visca. The short pass, it's a good pass too by Nigel Smart, and it hits Rashudo right on the chest. He's leading out well, Gerard.
Well, he's a talented player, Rashudo, and he's very much like Tony Modra in that he's quick on the lead, perhaps hasn't got the leap of Modra, but if he can convert, he gives the Crows another option up forward, and I'm sure they're going to use today as a bit of an experimental game. You wouldn't expect that Sydney will defeat them, but stranger things have happened this weekend.
There's a beautiful kick for a goal.
The Mitsubishi April Countdown clearance is on, and that means you can count on getting a great deal on any Mitsubishi light commercial vehicle from now until the end of April. You can count on generous factory bonuses on Triton, Express Vans, Star Wagon and Pajero. And if you're eligible, you can also count on a sales tax exemption. So see your participating Mitsubishi dealer now, because there's one thing more you can count on. Stocks won't last.
McDermott getting the ball, but not out of the centre as yet. Liptak after it with great gusto. Kapler tackles. Well, the Crows have had the ball and taken it back 60 metres. Hart goes wide, jump. Into Liptak. Kick by Liptak, wide for Wiedemann. And he's getting the weed, which makes me think there's plenty of Adelaide supporters. I know all the planes were full this morning coming from Adelaide. And you could make it a weekend out and come up to Sydney and watch your team play. Here's Smart. Rashudo. Kicked the only goal of the game. Back in. Groom. Can't get hand to ball. Dunkley did all right. Considine goes in pretty hard for it and sees the ball out. Well done by Ed Considine. So at the moment, it's just 1-2 to 2 behinds, and the Swans have blocked them up pretty well. 11 minutes played.
And already a change made. Sean Rent coming off the ground. Pittman on for a run.
Well, Sydney have had one win against Adelaide in Adelaide a couple of seasons ago.
Barry Mitchell might have kicked the winning goal right on the final siren.
I think it was 4 points, the margin. But it's at half forward for the Crows. They look pretty sharp. Only got one goal on the board, but they're looking dangerous. That's Lawson coming out to Philandia. Two of the little guys combining. Creswell looking for Rose. Big Gavin Rose. Good play to Tappan on to Lewis. Lewis back to Rose and Kapler. Kapler has a shot. And Darren Kapler has missed again. Just couldn't get clear and swing onto that. He kicked it on the left, but off balance. Sean Wren off the ground, having a spell on the bench.
Good passage of play all the same by the Swans. Good knock on by the big fellow Rose. Good to see Dale Lewis attacking the football.
Oh, the kick in, a short one. It's been chopped off. A big chance here for the Swans to get their first goal. Hooked back by Hepburn, but too far.
Well, Rouvray did this a couple of times last week at vital stages. Kicked the ball out poorly and was intercepted by Eagles, which kicked some goals. I think Chris Waring got on the end of one of them. It's a talent in itself and really needs to be practiced.
Lee a bit more distance to Liptak, away to Tregenza. Well, they're trying to play the short possession game, and they're coming unstuck because the Swans have had more. Rose takes the mark, gets the ball out wide. Kelly, too far out to score. Minton Connell offering a lead. Lewis is in the pocket with Lee. Lewis, no mark. Gets the hand pass back. And that's the youngster having a snap. Lang. They've had their chances, the Swans. They've kicked 5 behinds.
Yes, and probably a slight breeze going right of screen, favouring Sydney. Not a lot in it, but certainly they're kicking the ball longer that end of the ground. As we see the kick coming in towards the half back line, that was Pittman flying for the mark. Taken by little Jamie Lawson, ducked the hit. Good umpiring. Matthew Armour, socket off the ground by Pittman. Here's Daniels, a lot of pressure on him as he gets it towards Creswell. Creswell on centre wing. Oh! Nearly unloaded there by Visca. Well played by Creswell. To the half-forward line, it's all Swans. And a good mark taken there by Hepburn.
He's had a few early touches, Mark Hepburn. Perhaps should have goaled not so long ago. But he'll be nervous representing his new club for the first time. And from this distance out, he could even convert. A little bit of a tailwind, as you suggested, Pete.
So Mark Hepburn, a left footer from 55 metres. Oh, he launches into this. That's a good-looking kick. That's a goal.
Jamieson has been replaced by Maynard for the Crows. The Swans are in front, 1-5 to 1-2. Pittman on the ground for Wren. Oh, Bickley again. Doesn't he win those hard ones out of the middle? This one off the side of the boot. Gasper, the #1 pick in last November's national draft. 17-year-old from Western Australia. His hand pass a bit high for the skipper. Ball goes out. Now, Wren's off the ground, Neil Curley.
Yes, he's got a slight problem with his upper thigh. It's been heavily strapped, and we can't get a lot out of him, so we'll wait and see if he comes back on.
Oh, Jarman spins out of trouble beautifully. Andrew Jarman to full forward. Rasciuto! No mark. Considine came straight through. Dunkley out of defence for the Swans. Bang, straight up the middle. Hepburn doing superbly. Not only in new colours, but he didn't play league footy at all last year. He went overseas. It bounces off Minton Connell. But it's all the Swans at the moment. McDermott goes back to Hart.
Kick out wide to Bickley. A terrific spoil a moment ago by Rouvray. Terrific effort at full back. He was caught behind. He lunged out at the split second. Now here's Groom around the corner. Good kick too. He's found Matthew Liptak 40 metres from goal directly in front. And Liptak's playing well. Sean Wren looks on. Rodney Jamieson on the left of screen. Matthew Liptak, a pacey little player from directly in front to put the Crows in front. Starting to swing it back. This is a goal. So Matthew Liptak has kicked his first. And the Adelaide Crows have moved on to 2-2 to 1-5.
Well, this is an interesting move because Rod Jamieson has been one of the big pluses for the Crows this season, being able to hold down centre-half back. He pinch hits there a little bit. He's not all that tall, about 6'1", and early in this game it's been exposed a bit by Mark Hepburn.
3-point lead to the Crows. Kelly. Rose out of the middle. Good distance from a standing start. Hart gets back there to take the mark.
The Crows have countered, of course, by using Rodney Maynard, and I'm just watching him really run off Mark Hepburn, so Hepburn's going to have to be careful that he doesn't give away some goals with Maynard attacking too much.
Kick by McDermott. Down to the front. Brad Seymour, #7. Hand pass over the top. Here's Brown. Hurriedly onto the left boot. Snaps a goal.
How to earn more Ansett frequent flyer points without leaving the ground. Simply use your Diners Club card. When you pay for a restaurant, when you're out shopping, for car hire or your petrol, all your accommodation bills, and even when you buy an airline ticket. Because with Diners Club, you earn valuable Ansett frequent flyer points every time you use it.
The Crows by 9 points. Things looking very ominous. So a good play by Jarman to Chris McDermott. Smothered off the boot. Anderson tried to knock it on. McDermott again into the thick of things. Pittman has trapped it. Gets it to Jarman. Jarman very, very cleverly out of that pack. Gets it out to Brown. David Brown caught. Tries to get in a hand pass. Socket off the ground. Here's Jarman. This is danger. Quick hands. Good play. McDermott again. Now Pittman. Pittman towards the half-forward line. The race is on for the ball. Liptak is there. Now Mark Rasciuto does it very, very well. Steadies on the right foot, Mark Rasciuto. Kicks and kicks it behind.
I'm not sure young Armat is the player for Matthew Liptak. Liptak's lost him a couple of times, basically by running up to the half-forward line and then doing a U-turn and losing Armat on the way back. Already he's probably been the Crows' most damaging player.
Kick in by Bays. Close to the boundary line. It's not touched and out.
Good defensive work there by the Crows, using the zone defence strategy to effect.
Free kick taken by Tregenza. Disappointing. And the mark taken down there by Seymour. Half back to half forward in a trace. Hart. McDermott bring all the players around him into the game. Back to Hart. Over the head of Anderson on centre wing. Draws a man. Wiedemann. Plenty of support wherever he plays. Kick by Wiedemann to full forward. All from the back. Whistle's gone and Adelaide free. Rasciuto in front.
And that's the best place to be for any full forward, but just a couple of midfield matchups. Lawson is picking up Tregenza and looks to be going with him all over the park. I know that Ron Barassi considers Tregenza one of the keys for the Adelaide side, particularly on that transition from defence to attack. Daniels is picking up Jarman in the middle.
Prosciutto kicks his second goal. Well, we might find that in the absence of Tony Modra, this youngster steps in and kicks a dozen or so.
Yes, well, Neil Curley told me that he saw him early in his career and he kicked 10 goals at full forward, so he's not foreign to the position. And he's already started showing that he knows how to play it. On the other wing, of course, Dean McRae has a pretty big job on Greg Anderson, who's back after being a late withdrawal last week. A back injury aggravated by the plane trip, of all things.
So 27 plays 11. Adelaide looking very good. Chris McDermott getting plenty of touches down towards the half-forward line. Room is there against Gasper. Wiedemann, a sweeping hand pass out wide. Tregenza is there. Now Groom. Groom from 52 metres brings it up in front of goal. Prosciutto flies. Now Liptak a chance. Gets in a quick hand pass. Tony Hall trying to swing onto the left foot. Handballs instead to Prosciutto. Good team play this. David Brown has a pot shot at goal, and I think he's kicked this. Good team play.
Thursday was always fun night on 7, but we wanted to make it better, so we asked our supercomputer this question.
How much fun can we cram into one night? 7:30, full house. 8 o'clock, hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Hey, you guys, turn to channel 7. It was good, but we wanted more.
8:30, full frontal.
But wait, there's more!
9:30, the Fuzzy Towers Hour. 10:30, Denton. All new, all funny, all night. Thursday nights on 7.
Well, it took the Crows a while to get motoring, but they're travelling well now. Jarman out of the middle. Bays knocks it away from Smart. Mark Bays after it again, gains 20 metres, and the ball out of play at half-forward flank for the Crows.
Tell you what's come out of the game so far. Down the other end, Drew Ben Hart, his pace, you back him in the store gift. He's very, very quick.
Under 8 minutes to go to quarter time here at the SCG. Back to Jarman. Ball is there. Prosciutto as well. And the ball out of play. Andrew Jarman's had plenty of it, and I think he'd be very keen to show the coach he should be in the starting 18 every week.
Well, there's no doubt that the Sydney ground suits Andrew Jarman. There aren't the fast expanses that can expose him. I guess he's very similar to Greg Williams in that regard.
Well, that was Groom getting it to ground. A quick kick comes down towards the centre of the ground. Adelaide putting a lot of pressure on. Pittman caught one in the back. On to Jarman again. He and McDermott getting a lot of touches. Tony Hall flies. Thumped away by Dunkley. Tapped to ground. Here's David Brown in after it again. And eventually a free kick will go the way of the Swans here for a high tackle. It was Creswell. No, it's now Ed Considine. Back it comes to Creswell. Creswell to the centre of the ground. Kepler there against Visca. Used his body beautifully. Visca brings it to the pocket. Tony Hall waits underneath it. Probably should have attacked that one. Gasper. Now Jamie Lawson gives it back to Bays. Bays with that beautiful familiar left foot kick towards the centre wing area. Now Hart, look at the pace. He's well on top. Look at that. Great play. He's well on top of Lewis. Swans might have to do something with that position because Lewis finding it hard to get into the game against Hart.
Well, I think Dale Lewis just has to have a look at himself and give the Swans a lift. He's one of their most talented players, but hasn't produced at all this season. There are contractual disputes through the summer, but he has signed on with the Sydney Swans, and he's got to make this his home and his career.
Lawson, a live wire, but McDermott to Hart is knocked up getting kicks. Across to Maynard, who came off the bench. He puts it out in front of Anderson. Tapped away well by Dean McRae. He's got Bays going past, and a bit further afield is Damien Lang, the youngster, an 18-year-old. Approaches 50, goes long for goal. Good-looking effort. His first goal in the AFL.
Well, Rombarassi is a very big rep for this young player. Damien Lang, half forward or a wing he plays. He's a loping, tall streak of a young player, but if you can convert goals from outside 50, you've got that special quality about you, and hopefully he goes on to make a big name for himself with the Sydney Swans.
So Adelaide by 16 points. Pittman doing the ruck work with Wren off the ground. Taken away by Mark Visca. Gee, they're a talented side, Adelaide. Now Liptak in towards Hall. Hall waits for the bounce. What will he do? He shrugs off the tackle. Swings onto the left foot, Tony Hall, and puts it through for a behind.
Yeah, well, the tackle wasn't all that good there from Mr. Ed Considine. He just let Hall waltz around him. Hall just gave the big shrug, and really that's not good enough at this standard of football.
Well, there's Scott Waters, former West Coast Eagle, warming up, and well, he's had a lot of back problems, but he's back in the side. Here's Kaplan, centre of the ground. He's a long kick. He should kick it now right down to Minton Connell, who's one out down there with Ray. Minton Connell, he marked it anyway, and the umpire played the free kick for holding against Paul Rouvray, and this should be a gimme goal to Simon Minton Connell. Paul Rouvray, I don't think he looked. Let's have a look. Did he hold him? Yes.
Yeah, it was an early hold. Scott Waters onto the ground for Jason Daniels.
And he kicks some goals. So a handy one for the full forward, Simon Minton Connell, and the Swans fight back. 3-5 to 5-4. Jason Daniels now on the bench with Sanford Wheeler there also.
Better passage of play from Sydney. If Kepler can win the ball, he's a very damaging player because he's got such good foot skills. He started the season well with a good game against the Brisbane Bears. But often there's a question mark on his endurance. He plays in fits and spurts, and really the Swans need him to fire 100% of the time.
Sydney fans starting to chant Sydney. It's their first game at the SCG this year after playing in Brisbane and then having a bye. One in the middle by Rose, but Anderson comes back to Rose. Hurried left footer. Kapler's there at the back of the pack. No mark taken. Maynard's hand pass astray. Oh, but free kick given away by Kelly. Taken by Bickley to McDermott. And look at the space on the outer side. Liptak. Been a switch there by the looks. Liptak, the hand pass dropped short. On the bounce to Bayes, but he couldn't get clear of the area, couldn't find a teammate. McRae fumbles. Dunkley goes for the boundary line, looks for it again. Well done, Smart. And eventually it goes out for a throw-in.
It's Crows forward pocket area. There's Wayne Wiedemann and Nigel Smart. Smart versus Bayes. That'll be a terrific contest. Two very evenly matched players. There's Groom doing the ruck work against Gaspar. Now Wiedemann a chance. Or puts it on the ground. Lang handballed away and then was grabbed. So there'll be a free kick to that player for Sydney. Brad Seymour, I should say. Towards the half-back area, and a good mark. Second great mark taken by Mark Bickley. Now Rasciuto on the lead. Bickley is looking to kick it long here. They'll have to kick 52 metres to make the goals. Oh, not a bad looking drop punt. Puts it up in the square. Players set themselves and thumped through by Mark Rasciuto for a behind to Adelaide. Been a terrific player for the Crows since they came into the competition. Mark Bickley, 5-5 to 3-5.
The Swans have probably got whatever breeze is blowing. They're 2 goals down. Close to quarter time. Kick by Bayes. Off Anderson. And the ball out of play. About 30 seconds remaining to the first change. Darren Kapler had a couple of chances, but he kicked behinds early until he set up that last goal for Minton Connell. Rose and Groom. Groom tries to flick the ball to the back. Armat to the centre of the ground. Gee, he's been all right. Hepburn. A year out of football. Long kick, one out again is Minton Connell. Free kick to the defender this time, Rouvray.
Well, there's consistency from the umpires. Similar situation as before, but this time Rouvray playing in front. I'm impressed with Rouvray. I think he'd make a very good fullback. Pretty pacey and highly skilled. Tregenza, but an unfavourable bounce. Umpire paying the advantage. He had paid the free kick. Jarman dominating as he brings it to centre wing. But there's the siren to end a very entertaining first term here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Adelaide lead 5-5 to 3-5.
He's won 3 in a row. Can anybody beat Mark Scaife? Round 4 of the touring cars from Phillip Island today.
With RACV Insurance, 3 claim-free years on rating 1.
really means something.
I still have one claim, even if it's my fault, and I still don't lose my rating 1.
But in your case, it's even better. Because you've had 6 claim-free years on rating 1, you can have 2 claims, even if they're your fault, without losing your rating 1.
Excellent.
Switch your policy now.
Take a closer look at your motor oil. Any motor oil. Make sure you're getting complete protection against starting friction, heat stress, and engine deposits. Introducing Haviland Formula 3 from Caltex. The same Haviland Formula 3 used in these cars. The same motor oil you can buy right off the shelf. Haviland Formula 3 from Caltex. Add more life to your car.
What type of restaurant do you prefer? American? Thai? Italian? Why choose? Come to Keg, where we'll serve you the world on a plate. Now that's well done.
At 80 kilometres per hour on a straight, dry, uneven road, just one faulty shock absorber can increase your stopping distance by 2.6 metres. Munro, the world's best shock absorbers.
At Holden, we believe that true prestige is built into the car. The new Holden Statesman is the most luxurious and distinctive ever. It's the safest large Australian luxury car with driver's airbag standard. The all-new Holden Statesman, big V6 or optional V8. The prestige is built into the car, not added onto the price. There's nothing quite like a Holden.
From the great classical composers and the greatest motion picture makers ever comes Classics and the Movies, with the world's most famous music. From Apocalypse Now, The Ride of the Valkyries. And from out of Africa, The Haunting Love theme by Mozart. Classics and the Movies is over 120 minutes of musical splendor. Classics and the Movies, the best music of our lives from Concept.
7:30 Wednesday. Take a sneak peek.
It's good to be back.
Rush to Australia. It's Tim the Toolman Taylor.
You're on fire. Indeed I am, Al.
In a special preview of Home Improvement's all-new series soon for 7.
I don't think so, Tim.
A brand new episode of Australia's most popular comedy.
Thank you, Australia.
Thank you very much.
A tool-time event followed by more laughs in Boy Meets World.
You're not gonna, like, kiss me now, are you?
So don't forget, 7's all-new Home Improvement preview, 7:30 Wednesday.
The Crows by 2 goals. Browns kick 2, Rasciuto at full forward 2, and Liptak 1. And the Swans 3 goals 5, 1 each to Minton Connell, Hepburn and Damien Lang. Now, 2 other games being played in Melbourne today. Many viewers will be taking replays of both these games after the game from the SCG. So if you don't wish to know the score, look away now. For some of you, a replay of those games after here. Graham Corn speaking to the Crows, and down on the boundary line is Neil Curley.
Thank you, Drew. Well, from the injury point of view from Adelaide, we have Sean Wren with a cork thigh, and speaking to Tony McGuinness and Anthony Modra, they're both confident of being available next week. But the Crows' midfield, and particularly defence work by Ben Hart, has set their lead up, and they're looking very, very good at this stage. And Neil, you may have a report on young Rose.
Yes, Gavin Rose has gone straight up the race, and he has a suspected broken bone in his hand, and it looks pretty bad for Gavin.
Well, that's bad luck, because I thought he was controlling the centre work at those bounces.
He certainly was. He's got a terrific leap, Gavin. In fact, he's a former decathlete, and he was really using that leap to advantage in the centre bounces.
For Adelaide viewers, I honestly believe that the further this game goes, the further the Adelaide Crows will get ahead. Back to you, Drew.
Thanks, Neil. Yes, well, both ruckmen off the ground now because Wren injured, but looks as though he might be back. But Rose off the ground as well. And here are the stats to quarter time.
Well, despite Rose's input getting a hand on the ball, you can see what's happening in the centre break takeaways. Centre bounce takeaways, Adelaide are clearly dominant. And if you win the centre bounce takeaways, you usually dominate, but particularly so here in the Sydney football ground.
I like the way Neil Curley gives that little spiel to all the Adelaide viewers, Drew.
Well, there'd be a few of them today.
There'll be a heap.
See Troy Luff onto the ground, picking up Nigel Smart, who really hasn't got into the game.
2 goals the margin. Adelaide kicking with a slight breeze. There's Scott Waters on the ground, taken by Liptak across half-back. He gives it out wide. That's Visca to the half-forward line. Nigel Smart having a terrific battle down there with Bays, but he sprints clear from 50 metres. Smart goes for home with a raking kick, a beautiful kick for a goal.
Well, straight away, Bays having to go onto the ball has made a difference with Smart.
Well, he was controlling centre half back, wasn't he, really, Bays?
Yes, probably the whole of the Crows, the Sydney half back line was doing okay. Smart hasn't had a lot of the football, but you just saw the way he waltzed around Troy Luff there and kicked an easy goal.
Well, we'll find out how much the Swans will miss Gavin Rose, because Bays in the ruck. Well, the Swans get it out of here through Kelly. Visca leads the race, but leaves it behind for Kapler. Kapler approaches the 50, dishes it out to Lewis, goes after it again, gets it going the Swans' way. Liptak. Oh, good defence by Matthew Liptak. Well, a real shame for the Swans. Rose was going all right, and of course Bays was going well in his position on Smart. Bays now on the ball against Pittman. 2 replacement ruckmen. Tregenza and Lawson, who provided one of the highlights with his tackle on Wren, the game's biggest and the game's smallest. Was it Lawson who injured Big Wren? Centre of the ground, Seymour lost it. Liptak a little hand pass. Will it sit up here for Groom? He taps over the top. Smart gives it back to Groom, but his hand pass no good. Made it tough for Groom. That should have been a walk-up start goal. Smart. Back to Anderson.
Still at half-forward. The umpire's found a free kick this time, and it will go the way of Dean McRae for the Swans. And McRae at half-back chips it wide. He's looking out there for Creswell, and he finds him. Darren Creswell, very good player to centre wing. No mark. Pittman was the man trying to take it one-handed, and it is over the line on centre wing. Now there's Mark Bays. Really does get shoved around all over the place to fill in gaps. Very versatile player, Mark Bays, and doing the ruck work against Pittman. Pittman with superior height gets it down the ground, kicked off the ground by Mark Bickley. Wiedemann at the back. It's tapped towards McRae. McRae desperately tries to get in a hand pass. Desperate play by Philandia. Onto Ahmed. Ahmed to half forward. That was Creswell. Good play, Creswell. Good. Battling hard. Not enough support. Terrific effort. But the Crows swarm in. And he's locked in there on the ground, Darren Creswell. A bounce on centre wing.
Pittman's tackle on him nearly burst the air out of him. Bays beats Pittman. Kelly runs out of room. Twice best and fairest and club captain. Now Pittman and Bays again. Leave it to the little blokes. Kelly to Lewis, up to the 50. Hepburn couldn't quite get the hand pass clear that time. Visca, McDermott, intercepted by Lawson. Open goal to Lawson, 45 metres out. It's away to the right and misses.
Good interception there by Speedy Gonzalez, as you see Gavin Rose being attended to. He's probably broken his scaphoid if he's got a wrist problem, which is the bone that many footballers crack during their career.
Now to the centre of the ground. Big fly was by Pittman, and he's enjoying this run on the ball. Centre hand pass to Jarman. Jarman to Tregenza. Inside to Wiedemann. He's a long kick from 55 metres. Wiedemann sets sail for home and clears the fence by 5 metres for a goal.
Super XHP, you say? The what? The latest SH formula. Who? Yeah, no, mobile. Yeah, mobile. M-O-B-I-L, right? Extra protection. You're talking my language now. Okay, thanks, mate. He asked me why I'm not using Mobile Super XHP.
You big dummy.
Mobile Super XHP saves you worry in the long run.
Bays. Waters gets his first kick. He's missed a lot of football. Hinton Connell away to Lewis. 40 metres out. It comes back for a great goal.
Brett Seymour coming off the ground will be replaced by Sanford Wheeler. Now, as we know, he was quite an excitement machine last year, but perhaps has dropped off the pace a little bit this year and needs to get out and show Barassi that he's back on the boil. Good get out of the middle from the Swans, and a good finish there by Lewis.
Adelaide by 17 points. Wheeler picking up Wiedemann. Here's Armat. Matthew Armat to Darren Creswell. Creswell looking for Philandia. Philandia and Liptak used his body beautifully, Peter Philandia. A bad hand pass. He was covered down there, Hepburn, and really should have kicked it. Here's Dale Lewis starting to come into the game, which is good for the Swans. Clever kick that by Bays. Very, very good play. Now, that was Lang trying to get in a hand pass, but he was caught. The umpire has pinged him. Scott Lee to take the kick.
Yeah, quick hands required there from the young player. He had Paul Kelly inside, and he could have run onto an open goal, but just fumbled at the critical moment.
So Scott Lee to centre wing. Groom underneath the ball. Here's Scott Watters racing after. Socket off the ground by Bickley. It clears the fence. Penalty kick to Sanford Wheeler.
Wheeler and Wiedemann, two interesting hairstyles on each other. Up towards half forward. Oh, top mark taken by Ben Hart. Former All-Australian. Hart's kick. Big climb down there by Smart, but he interfered.
Just watching Peter Philandia struggling to keep up with Liptak. Liptak just looks so much fitter, and of course Philandia came through the March draft, so perhaps he hasn't had the work that Liptak has and may struggle. Liptak has cut the Swans apart.
Visca to Tregenza. Up to Anderson. Good controlling of the ball with the right hand, then the kick with the left foot. Very wide for Rashuto.
Yes, that was far too wide. That kick should have been directed to the goal square. From there, and put pressure on the Swans' defence. Mark Rashuto getting back to the square. Gasper to do the ruck work against Groom. Groom trying to get front position. Gasper did that very, very well, actually. Lawson. Peter Philandia to centre wing. Pittman sets himself at the back of the pack. Has thumped the ground. Well played by Jarman. Still Jarman. Oh, terrific play by Jarman to Chris McDermott. Here's Visca. T. Andrew Jarman having a field day here. McRae on to Armat. Armat kicks it hurriedly towards the half-forward line. Now there's 2-1 here. Oh, well played by Lang. Lang on the left foot. Brings it down to Minton Connell. Should use his body here. Trying to get a free kick. Sockers off the ground. A chance here for the Swans. Kepler on the left foot. Puts it through. Great play, the Swans.
Superwoman's fixing her own storm damage these days.
You could say that.
Really?
Worried? Actually, the insurance company got the emergency services out in the middle of the night and even organised the roofing contractor.
How about that cost? A bomb?
No, it's free with my house and contents insurance. Aussie Home Assist, they call it.
What sort of insurance company does that?
Mum, it's the RACV on the phone. They want to know if everything's okay.
RACV Insurance. It's not just another insurance company.
What are you going to do now?
Switch?
Crows by 11 points. Tregenza gets it out of the middle. Wheeler for the Swans belts it back. Gasper comes wide to Love. They're at half-back for the Swans. He goes very wide in between half-back and centre wing, and the ball out of play.
Well, it's only 9 points to difference, Drew, and yet you would think watching the game that Adelaide would be a mile in front the way they're playing.
Yes, and the Swans missed some chances they should have got in the first quarter. So really, they could well be in front. Here's Philandia. Gets a bad bounce. Kelly. Jarman caught by Philandia, but the tackler came over the shoulder. Jarman very quick with his hands. McDermott. Rashuto. Not this time. Hall. Tony Hall in the forward pocket. Rashuto a second chance. Armat did all right to dispossess him. Strong tackling by the Swans, and that's a ball up.
Good umpiring then to let it go. Not tempted to play a ticky touchwood free kick. Every one of those players was going for the ball in that forward pocket. big thump. Was still in play for Landia. Now it's over as Wiedemann hip and shoulder on Peter Philandia. So throw in about 35 metres around from the Adelaide goal. They're not getting it their own way. They've looked good, but on the scoreboard they only lead by 9 points. There's Nigel Smart, gets it to Bickley, great play, and he slams it through for a top goal. So Mark Bickley's kicked his first. A terrific tap on then by Smart.
Yes, it was good ruck work, no doubt about that. Hit the ball to space, and there was Bickley who bobbed up. Bickley, I think Creswell's done a fair job on him to date, but got away from him nicely there and converted well, slammed the ball through, and that's the only way to kick them from close in. Notice Armat is back on to Matthew Liptak. Liptak's changing on the ball there with Chris McDermott.
Bayes faces Pittman. Pittman easily. Smart helps it up. Jarman further afield. Wiedemann off the side of the boot, wide for Hall. Oh, great gather by Tony Hall. 35 metres out. Centering kick over the head of Brown. Philandia takes the mark. Now they can run it out of defence. Gasper. McRae and Anderson.
Doing quite well on the wings, the Sydney Swans. Lawson probably breaking even with Tregenza, and McRae's got Anderson in control.
Now Pittman versus Bayes. It's tapped down in front to Scott Waters, and he'll be a terrific acquisition to the Swans once he gets a few games under his belt. There's Hepburn. Oh, Ben Hart has been fantastic. Visca, Jarman, then on to McDermott, and McDermott hits Rashudo on the chest.
Classic football there from the Crows. The Sydney Crown went up for a throw from Andrew Jarman, but it was just quick hands. He had McDermott a metre away, and the quick give. But it's Ben Hart that's really returning every forward attack that comes his way and starting attacking moves for the Crows from that half-back line.
Now Mark Rashudo for his third. Now, as he missed this one, he is now, no wonder he missed it. He took about 2 or 3 steps. He should have gone back 20 metres from the man on the mark and balanced himself. He got far too close to the man on the mark.
Don't know why some of these blokes don't ring you up during the week for a lesson over the phone.
I didn't open my mouth until I made sure he'd missed it first through.
Well, once again, the Crows doing particularly well with this zone defence. Sydney Swans full back, just struggling to get an option, but they break it well now.
Gaspar. Oh, missed with a hand pass. Teenager made up for it. Creswell pops it over the top. Kelly gets a lead. Lewis in the forward pocket. Gets a free kick, Lewis.
The umpire said he was being held.
Well, with this 3 umpire system, any forward who's caught behind, he's really not doing his team justice, because if you don't win the ball by marking it, you have every chance to get the free kick. Now, there was nothing in that, nothing whatsoever.
That is a soft free kick.
But you must take that front position to take advantage of this position the umpires have placed themselves in.
3 goals the difference, and now 2. Dale Lewis, 2 goals, both in this quarter.
And once again, that ball coming from full back, a good example of the necessity to have a good kick from full back and transition. You see there Darren Gasper, who's done pretty well in his first game. He fumbled, but he got the ball back. A nice handball opened up Paul Kelly. And we won't speak about this one.
Well, the Crows only lead by 12 points, and they seem to have been dominating the game. Bickley onto Brown. Brown, the hurry kick down towards Liptak, gets a bad bounce. Armat's there to mop up. Well played by Matthew Armat. Brings it around centre wing. Kepler versus Visca.
Well, I don't want to be too hard on young Armat, and I know he turned the ball over and got it back for the Swans there, but he has really very little idea of playing tight on his opponent. And I just noticed Liptak, unless, well, unfortunately he got the bad bounce. He would have been away for another goal. He just gives too much space in defence.
And there's David Brown. Simon Tregenza, a hurry kick. Down towards Groom. Groom to Tregenza. He races towards the pocket. Gives it over to Liptak. Liptak trying to break clear. Gets it to Nigel Smart. He races into goal directly in front. And I think he's kicked it. Yes.
classifieds.
Advertised Falcon GLI.
Right, Commodore 88.
Green with a brown interior. I have 3 available. It's an 87 model.
What's this?
It's green with a brown interior.
Go!
Absolutely fantastic on fuel and economy. It's green with a brown interior. Plenty of space in the back for the... Oh no, sorry, it's sold.
Gavin Rose giving every indication on the bench that he might get that hand taped up and come back. Jamieson, far too much time. McDermott controlling things in the middle. Tregenza. Oh, Rashuto plays on. He'll kick it.
Yep.
He's got his third. And Rod Jamieson in the middle had time for a cut lunch.
Yes, there wasn't a great deal of pressure by the Sydney Swans. Jamieson back on, as we know, at the quarter-time break to centre-half back. Tregenza, well, we'll give him full marks for that pass. And I'm not sure why Rashuto decided to play on, but perhaps he's better off kicking them on the run.
I thought the umpire called touched off the boot, believe it or not, Gerard.
Might have been a moth in flight.
Quickly looked up. 4 goals, Adelaide lead by. Pittman enjoying his stint in the ruck. Watters, quick hand pass. Kelly out of the pack, or having to wait underneath it, and Visca had to show courage. Visca to the half-forward line, Liptak. Oh, well played that time by Ahmed. Here's Wiedemann, drops it like a red-hot scone. And good umpiring, because really he just put it straight on the ground. A good tackle by Sanford Wheeler.
66-42. A 4-goal lead now to the Crows. Luff up to centre wing. McRae. Tough one at bootlace height. Kelly. He's lost it. Bickley keeps it going for the Crows. Anderson. Oh, Gaspar. What a mark that is by a first gamer. Just about had his back to it.
That is a brilliant mark by Gaspar, running back with the flight of the ball completely out of position. He took that mark. Well done by the young fella. Here's Philandia. Good sidestep on the left foot towards half-one. Andrew Jarman makes underneath, and he's having a very, very good game. And every time he gets it, you know who's going to end up with it. That's Chris McDermott. Towards half-forward, Rashuto's the flyer. Taken by Ahmed. Goes backwards to Ed Considine. Considine to the centre of the ground. Kapler pushing, shoving. Good play by Kapler to tap it on. Jarman lays a tackle. The Swans are off and running. Here's Creswell. A hand pass to Kapler. Kapler from 45 metres. And he has put it out on the full.
Well, we'll have another look at this. What a fine performance from a young player. Eyes on the ball, running back into the weed of all people, and takes him out. Not many players can say they've done that. Rodney Maynard's onto the ground. He's moved straight onto the wing, and Greg Anderson is having a spell on the woodwork.
Hepburn making a return to AFL football after playing with North Melbourne and the West Coast Eagles. 69 games with 2 clubs. Kick by Hepburn into a bit of a space. No Swans to fill it, though.
That is Visca. That is disgraceful play by the Swans. No one even attacked the ball.
Brown goes wide. Tregenza, who delivered the pass for the Crows' last goal. Here he is near the back pocket. He gets it back. Whistle's gone. It's going to be a Crows free kick.
But that's the occasion where Lawson has to tighten up on Tregenza. As soon as there's a switch of play, it almost invariably goes to Lawson, to Tregenza. And he has to play him man on man like a tagger.
Now it's a half forward for the Crows. That's Troy Luff. Oh, good use of the body by Bay. Now he should kick it quickly. As Gerard Healy says, move it, and he finds Kapler. Kapler on the left foot. Swings away it. Absolutely shot kick. Straight to Pittman. Pittman now rebounding, gives it to Brown, and now Tregenza's on his own, way out at centre wing, and off they go. Simon Tregenza waiting for the bounce. He's got plenty of time. Bickley gives it back to Jarman, cleverly sidestepping Andrew Jarman. Onto the left foot, bang. Look at that. Hits the chest of Matthew Liptak, and that is the difference in the two sides.
Skill, no doubt about that. They've really got a class act here, the Adelaide Crows. And there's no pressure on Jarman there. That's what brought them undone in the last quarter last week against West Coast Eagles.
Matthew Liptak for his second. And it's another one off field, yes.
Black robe,
Seldom before has there been a story of such savage splendor. Black Robe. Only his courage, his shining faith could challenge the cruelest Indian tribe of all. Black Robe, starring Australia's sensational Aidan Young, directed by Australia's Bruce Beresford. When they talk of Dances with Wolves, you'll remember too the adventure, the courage, the passion of Black Robe. Presented by Holden tonight.
Crows have kicked 6 goals to 3 in this quarter. Pittman wins in the middle. Certainly taken the place of Wren well. Smart just gets the hand pass away. Wiedemann, he's caught again. No whistle on this one. Well, Wheeler really sticking to him. Somebody in the crowd thought the umpire was a donkey, not playing a free kick.
Could have been worse.
Maynard, they're putting good pressure on here with some tackles in close, the Swans. Well done by Waters. Oh, this hand pass comes unstuck. Maynard to Groom. Very high ball. Waters. Did that go 10? Play on. Matt to Philandia. Kick the ball, says the loud voice supporter.
Who was that to?
A hand pass to nowhere. Creswell. Down goes McRae. Creswell again to make amends. Little left footer, all right. Luff at centre wing.
Troy Luff sprints clear. Or Luck's a fortune. That wasn't meant to be a pass, but it's come off to Lang. He tried to drive that long. Now here's a short lead. Mitten Connell. Oh, crashing his way through was Bays. Lewis goes to ground. It's held underneath him. And Jarman, although he was appealing for the free kick, doesn't get it. It'll be a bounce. 30 metres out from the Swans' goal. Dale Lewis.
Damien Lang looks a player, Pete.
Yes, a lot of promise. Probably needs a bit of muscle. Work out in the gym a bit. Now there's a quick hand pass. That was Lang. Now Kapler. And the umpire's found a free kick to Adelaide for holding decision. And Scott Lee, I think, the recipient. It is Lee at half-back.
And Pete, we saw one in the reserves. He was named in the Swans' long list, Wade Chapman. He might be in there pretty soon.
He'll be in next week, I'd say.
Maynard to Tregenza. Daniels just a little bit late. Prosciutto on a fast lead.
Yes, well, Daniels got sucked up the ground trying to put pressure on another Crows player. His man got the ball. He's been moved on to Tregenza, and I'm sure Barassi will want him to tighten right up there.
I think Mark Prosciutto is very impressive. He's quick off the mark.
He's kicked 3 goals, 3.
I'm not sure he'll replace the bloke that'll come in next week.
Make it 4 goals, 3. And Rose, we thought we might have lost him to a hospital appointment, but it looks as though he's coming back on.
Well, good to see Rose. He probably has got a break in his hand, but he's not going to do a great deal more damage by playing this game out. In fact, he could probably play a lot of games with the fracture in his wrist. I think it was Paul Kelly that played a fair few games last season with a fractured scaphoid.
One of the most famous would have been Darren Mullane in Collingwood's premiership year with a thumb.
Courageous effort that, to play with a broken thumb. Now, here's Sanford Wheeler. Out towards Rose. Had trouble controlling. No, it's not Rose, in fact. Of course, that's his lookalike, Jason Daniels. Now, the kick across the ground comes to Peter Philandia. Now, he can give it off here to Rose if he wants to over the top. Here's Gavin Rose. Further hand pass to Lang. Oh, sidesteps beautifully onto Rose on the left foot. Missed him since he's been off the ground. Peeling for the free kick was Mitten Connell. I don't think it was there. It was good umpiring. Ben Hart, Jarman. Look at this. But I think he ran out of bounds and there'll be a throw in and halfway. Gee, Ben Hart. Has he been impressive?
Very talented player. Perhaps got a bit of a spur on from the coach after last week. A little bit quiet. Mark Bays has moved down back onto Nigel Smart. Luff back on the bench.
Palm down, but straight to Kelly on the edge of the square. Minton Connell with Rouvray.
Oh, they're not giving a free kick. Have a look at this one, Gerard. If they start playing those, the game is going to become a joke.
Well, Mac,
have a look at this, man on man. Look at this, man on man. Is that a free kick to Minton Connell? You're kidding.
Minton Connell gets his second goal.
Oh, well, it keeps the game interesting, I suppose. Certainly wasn't a free kick, as we saw.
He'll be struck off the full forwards.
You've got to... Well, let's be honest about it. Have a look now.
Well, last year
they're just pushing, shoving, man on man, full back on full forward. That is not a free kick.
You were the publicity officer for full forwards last year, and every time they missed out on one, you went berserk. So how can the umpire win?
But now with the 3 umpires, if you start paying those ticky-touch with free kicks to full forwards, it's just so unfair on the full back. That's man-on-man stuff.
And there's certainly no free kick there.
While you're hot, Pete, go on, take it.
All right, Gavin Rose on the Watters. Here's Jason Daniels to the half-forward line. Minton Connell and Ben Hart. Oh, look at the pace. Ben Hart, tremendous. He just ran over the line, and be a throw-in at half-forward.
'78 plays 48. Adelaide in charge. Oh, the ball was tapped over beautifully to Lee. Tregenza just burning up the middle here at the SCG. He's kicked to full forward. Look at Rasciuto. Well, he can really play Rasciuto, but I suppose if the delivery was there, whether it was Modra, Rasciuto, or any number of players, you've got to get a lot of kicks and kick a few goals at full forward for this side.
Well, I had the glasses on Dunkley as that ball was coming down. He's trying to play him side by side. Rasciuto is going to have the first step. He's too quick for him. He's got to play him from 5 metres in front.
Now, one thing that has let Rasciuto down has been his accuracy. That is 4 goals 4.
Now, coaches say to players, particularly inexperienced players, man up, play side by side. But in reality, that's only a blueprint. The best full backs read the ball better than the full forwards and chop off the Leeds midfield.
Ed Considine. The half-back line, Maynard is there, but good effort by Rose.
And Macca, you were a leading full forward. You would have loved it when a player just stood beside you, surely.
Yep. The ones the hardest to beat, the ones who play 2 metres in front of you, actually. As we see, it tapped out towards Dean McRae. He can give it off to Darren Creswell, who's been a good player. Creswell sprints clear. He's got a lot of talent, this player. He runs, he ran a long way. Yes, too far. No doubt about that. He tried to steady. Should have bounced.
He should have made the 50-metre line just about his target, but he ran way over.
Well, the Crows have got 2 players on their own on the other side of the ground. They'll go for this transition. Tregenza's always on the end of it.
You just run past McDermott, and you're going to get the hand pass right into it. Good mark by Dunkley. Now the Swans have to bring it back all over again. Bays. Mark Hepburn hasn't been their worst by a long way. But that wasn't a great disposal. 3 or 4 quick handballs. And look at the Crows now. Hepburn got a hand of that before it reached Smart. He's gone. Turned straight into Bays. Lost it to Daniels. Wobbly old kick by Daniels, but he'll take that one.
And the Swans supporters appealing for 50. Creswell to half-forward. Dale Lewis will fly from the now Kapler. Oh, good hand pass by Kapler. Dean McRae. An open goal looms. And, I think he's kicked it. Let's have a look. Yes. So Dean McRae's kicking his first. The Swan supporters far happier now. They need plenty more. 8-6 to 12-7.
And has been a pretty good player for the Sydney Swans this afternoon, McRae. Has controlled his wing. Greg Anderson benched. Probably not because he was getting absolutely killed, but wasn't having a great deal of influence on the game. And now McRae moves on, playing on Maynard, who's on the wing also. He did that last week on Mainwaring, and he's had a goal kicked against him by Dean McRae.
Just 39 seconds remaining to half-time at the SCG. Pittman cleans up Rose. Whistle's gone, and it's a Rose free kick. Another quick goal by the Swans would be handy before the long break. Inside half-forward. Oh. Huge pack. Lewis. Lost the ball in the tackle, but we'll get a free kick.
In the back.
So they're doing well out of the free kicks up forward, Sydney. Ben Hart a little bit stiff there. Lewis just going to ground, dragging Hart down with him.
It's almost impossible to tackle from behind now, isn't it, without giving away a free kick.
Siren will go before he kicks it, so he's going to have to kick this goal.
He's going to need to kick it about 60 metres, I'd suggest. There is some doubt whether those 50-metre lines are exactly 50.
Got good distance. A raking kick for a goal after the siren. Well, Dale Lewis kicked 3 goals in that quarter. And the Swans not a long, long way out of it. They trail by 19 points.
Well, as we suggested, Dale Lewis is a vital ingredient to this Swans forward line. He hasn't had the best of seasons. Realise they've only played 1 game prior to today, but perhaps his training form hasn't been all that flash. But he's doing all he can do now, kicking 3 goals. And at half-time, Adelaide probably in control of this game, but Sydney on the way back. 12-7, 75 to Sydney with a late goal, 9-6, 60.
The name of the game is Australian.
Always visualise your opponent as your worst enemy. The person you absolutely despise the most. The absolute most. And that applies from the kick-off right through to the final siren. Now remember that.
You guys are quick learners.
It's KFC's Bigger Value Challenge. $19.95 buys you this big KFC family value meal. Or $19.95 might buy you this Chinese meal.
So much food. So little money.
Moving on up to Hit Machine 4. 20 hits from 20 artists, including M People, Peter Andre and 24/7. Depeche Mode, Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince. More hits from Ace of Base and Jane. There's EYC, 2 Unlimited and more. Get into Maximum Overdrive with Hit Machine Volume 4.
Barrel cleaner or upright? Versatility versus carpet care. Well, you can have the best of both worlds with the brand new Hoover Breeze, a great carpet cleaner with its own onboard tools. Hoover Breeze is so quick and easy to use on the carpet, and right at hand you have all the tools for cleaning upholstery and dusting. Around $300, you reckon? Well, trade up now at Godfrey's and pay just $1.99. What a bargain. Godfrey's, Caulfield South, Ringwood, Footscray, Frankston, Geelong, or the Godfrey's store near you.
Dynamo liquid with grease release. A little on the stain and the rest in the wash. Removes the heart and shadow of the stain. Beautiful. Dynamo removes stains for performance that's out of sight.
The perfect tire. For fast straights, it would look like this. For sharp bends, like this. And for stopping in the wet, like this. But why have 3 tires on every wheel, when with Dunlop Le Mans, you can have 3 treads on every tire? Stick with Dunlop, the world's best road-holding tires.
On Monday, Melbourne's property boom. Fueled by thousands of Hong Kong migrants and millions of imported dollars. Will real estate prices soon be beyond the reach of locals?
They will spend a lot of money to buy the right thing.
Hi, John, it's Jackie.
Melbourne's most controversial love affair. The late John Bell and Man O' Man supermodel Jackie Tarabay.
He was always so strong.
The truth behind the tragedy, exclusively on Real Life.
Well, the Crows had the breeze in that quarter, and they only outscored the Swans by 7 points. They led by 12 at quarter time and now by 19. The score 12 goals 7, 79 to 9-6, 60. Leading goal scorers, Rasciuto has 4, Brown has 2 and Smart has 2. And for the Swans, Dale Lewis, 3 goals, all in that quarter, and Minton Connell has 2.
Paul Bagshaw and Ken Whelan from Sturt.
just to make my AFL debut for the Crows. I'm not winning a grand final with Norwood or the Crows yet. Family matters. Golden Girls. Rocket. I've always had it as a kid. My brother used to call me Rocket, so just carried on. Dame Edna. Chocolate, I'd say. Sean Wren.
Just a minute with Rodney Maynard. Well, two other great matches being played today in round 3 in the AFL in Melbourne, and some stations will be taking replays after this game in Sydney. Firstly, we're going to look at the game between Collingwood and Footscray. Let's have a look at some highlights from the first half.
Kicks inside 50, very greasy conditions. Rocker overruns the ball, will have to get back quickly, so too does Stanfield. Williams kicks into Sexton. Chance for the Woods now. Rocker onto his left foot, takes the hand pass and goals. McGuan towards Rowe, the new look Brad Rowe with the shorter hair. Now a chance for Woods again. McGuan, oh, can he kick another one? Goal of the year last week, goes at goal and dribbles it through for his first. Wine, should have been a push out then. It looked like it. Pert goes hard at the ball. Again, Collingwood with the numbers. Brown in trouble. Kick off the ground. That's a goal kick by Steve Collingwood. Tap down to Buckley, danger here, reads the play well, kicks a great goal. So Footscray out of the centre, a stat last week in which they were noticeably beaten. Grant kicked 1-2 in the first quarter to a very busy Cameron. Collingwood's won the last 5 matches against Footscray. The Bulldogs' last success here at the MCG, round 17 of 1990. That's a good start in the second quarter.
Butcher the hurried kick to half forward and Rowe, right on the 50. The little goal sneaks away, goes from 55. Vacant goal square. How will it bounce? It won't. Rocker got there, coming up goal number 5. He got 10 against Footscray last season. He likes playing against the Bulldogs. Through it goes. Grant and Pert over the top. Reynolds hooks it behind. Liberatore to Allen. Can he snap a goal? Yes, he can. About 60 metres from goal, sends it back towards full forward. Watch out for Rowe!
The Bulldogs with their new coach this week, Alan Joyce. Now, if you don't wish to know the score because you may be seeing a replay later on, look away now. And after the break, we'll be taking a look at highlights of the other game in Melbourne today between Carlton and Geelong.
The name of the game is Australia.
Always visualise your opponent as your worst enemy.
In the centre.
The person you absolutely despise the most. The absolute most. That applies from the kick-off.
Is that the worst one?
Right through to the final siren.
Not that time, sir.
Now remember that.
You guys are quick learners.
Look, Mummy.
Well, they seem to be enjoying themselves.
It's only $2. Okay, Mummy.
Hey, that's my old lamp. They can't sell that. Hey, guys, where's the lady with the little girl?
Good night, Mummy.
Stop! Wait! Stop!
What's up, Dad?
Nothing. It's all right.
It took 2,000 years, but a revolutionary discovery is changing the way men think about colouring their grey hair. It's called Just for Men, from the leader in men's hair colouring. Simply apply Just for Men, and in 5 minutes, shampoo out. Your grey is blended away, leaving natural-looking colour. 5 minutes. Here. Look at me. Just for Men leaves your hair looking healthy and fuller, and it won't fade or wash out.
Just for Men, the fine hair colouring. After the huge
huge success of Moods 1 and Moods 2 comes Moods 3, Romantic Moods. 40 contemporary songs. Romantic Moods, out now from Concept.
Fortuna Village, the treasure of the Orient, for delicious, unique Peking-style yum cha, 7 days a week. Over 50 varieties of Northern Province-style dim sum to choose from daily. Fortuna Village, famous for handmade noodles and exotic Peking cuisine. The fully licensed Fortuna Village. The combination of fine food, personal service and elegance guarantee a culinary delight. The award-winning Fortuna Village restaurant in the heart of Chinatown, the treasure of the Orient.
Thinking savings? Well, walk into Williams. Cut a dash in Bronx Dash by Candy. All leather, Australian made. Save 20 and pick them up at $39.95. If you're thinking savings,
Walk into Williams.
That's thinking on your feet.
Monday, guess who's made the trip to join a host of your favourite TV celebrities?
Over here, Virgo. Trying to get me feet to reach the pedals.
They're playing to win a brand new Ford Festiva for a lucky home contestant.
You know, you could be a winner at home.
There's the Great Outdoors, Bridget Adams and Penny Cook, John Wood from Blue Healers, Kelly from Talk to the Animals, Jackie Loved, Mark Mitchell, Michael Horrocks, Rob Ruff.
And the survey said...
Oh, yes, and Marie and Agro on Celebrity Wheel of Fortune, 5:30 Monday.
The other match today is Carlton and Geelong, and the Blues looking for a breakthrough after losing their first two. Let's take a look at some highlights of the first half.
Still no score to either side, but the Cats doing the bulk of the attack. Madden slung off the ball. Here's a chance for Brewer to set sail to Bairstow. Now we've got a score on the board. The Cats are away. Silvani has done the job for Carlton too. Kicks in towards the middle. Hogg does the roving and does it beautifully. Now a chance for the Blues to go forward. Whitehead up to half forward. No mark taken by Colbert. Could prove costly. Kernahan! Kerners is back.
I thought it was a very good tackle from Chris.
Or is it Forsman?
Or Forsman.
And look, plucked it. This for Geelong to regain the lead. 3 minutes remaining. No mistake by Gary Ablett. Heads towards the boundary line, keeps it just in play. That was for Adrian Whitehead. Back to Bond. Charges in towards full forward. A high kick once again. No one able to take the mark. Mitchell! That's what we like Mitchell do. Gary Hocking. 5 kicks. Short to Forsman. Now Couch. So a good start to the 94 season. Paul Couch. They need a goal. They trail. And he's got it. Bradley pumps Carlton forward. Down towards Kernahan once again. Well spoiled, however. Kernahan will get another chance. He snaps. Oh, what a goal, Kerners! Advantage paid, Alvin. Again towards Kernahan. Couldn't take it. Bond. Advantage to Bond. There was a free kick to Kernahan. Bond finishes it off with a goal. Madden with a height advantage over the leaping Barnes. Hocking. A snap by Buddha. Pulls back 6 points.
Now, as some of you won't want to spoil the fun before watching a replay of that game later on today, you may want to look away now as we show the half-time score at Carlton.
Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum.
And here at the SCG, the Adelaide Crows only by 19 points, Jared, at half-time.
Well, I think it's fair to say that the Crows are in probably second gear, Drew, but that's sometimes when you can get have surprise upsets. And Sydney, well, there's been some positives for them. I think Gasper's had a pretty good game. They've had a number of players doing things in fits and spurts. You see Brown here. He's one of 3 players roaming on the ball along with Brown, or along with Liptak and McDermott, who are really cutting up the Sydney Swans. And just have a look at the way this goal develops. Anderson out of the middle. Jamison it is, who gets a quick handball. McDermott's had a field day onto Tregenza. Look at this pass. Now, if he can do that for the entirety of his career, he will be one of the most damaging wingmen there is. And Mark Rasciuto, also a pretty good player for the Crows throughout the afternoon. You see here a very good mark to a young player, and that's the stuff that Sydney have to build on, these young players coming through. And there you see the stats. Well, the Crows totally in control, you would think, of this game, winning the ball well out of the centre. They've also had plenty more possessions around the ground.
Well, they're a possession side, and maybe the break and the gap in possessions there not as wide as we might have expected from one of the flag favourites against one of the favourites for the wooden spoon. Swans going all right here. We'll be back soon.
The name of the game is Australia.
Ronald McDonald conducts the Beethoven Symphony.
Always visualise your opponent as your worst enemy.
In the centre.
The person you absolutely despise the most. The absolute most.
One of the top.
And that applies from the kick-off.
Is that the worst one?
Right through to the final siren.
Not that time, sir.
Now remember that.
You guys are quick learners.
RACV Claims Advisory, Kay speaking.
My name's Keith Anderson.
Looks stunning. It's a hand glove. What happened to the car?
The man behind us forgot to stop.
It's a bit of a bother. You should be with RACV Insurance. Claims are approved in a day. You don't have to fill out any forms. And they guarantee the repairs for 3 years, even if you choose your own repairer.
What sort of insurance company does that?
RACV Insurance. It's not just another insurance company.
Maybe I'm not as silly as I look.
Here's AC/DC, Status Quo, The Cars, Bad English, Stevie Nicks, Baby Animals, Pat Benatar. On the greatest rock album in the world, out now from Headbound.
Alexander's Riders by Lee sale. Men's riders were $65, now $39.95. Boys' riders were $55.95, now $35. Riders by Lee, the jeans that fit at Alexander's. The look, the name, the price.
Dynamo liquid with grease release. A little on the stain and the rest in the wash. Removes the heart and shadow of the stain. Beautiful. Dynamo removes stains for performance that's out of sight.
Black Robe. Seldom before has there been a story of such savage splendor. Black Robe. Only his courage, his shining faith could challenge the cruelest Indian tribe of all. Black Robe, starring Australia's sensational Aidan Young, directed by Australia's Bruce Beresford. When they talk of Dances with Wolves, you'll remember too the adventure, the courage, the passion of Black Robe. Presented by Holden tonight.
Half-time in Sydney, and the Crows leading the Swans by 19 points. Our two Neils on the boundary line. Neil Curley.
Thank you, Drew. Well, Graham Corns, the Crows coach, instructions before the game was to try and use the ball. The way to beat the Sydney team, he felt, was to use the ball correctly. They haven't been doing it to this stage. They've been turning the ball over far too often and allowing the Sydney boys to work the ball back and kick some valuable goals. Also, their kicking for goal in front, of course, has left a lot to be desired. But another feature here today that I'm not happy with is the number of soft free kicks that are being handed out to quite a few players. And the return of Rose, Neil, to the Sydney team is vital.
Yeah, when Gavin Rose went off at the end of the first quarter, the loss was immediate. They had to move Bays in the ruck, so Pitman started killing the Swans in the ruck. then Smart kicked 2 goals, and the report on Gavin Rose is that he does have a broken bone in his hand, but it's near the base of the fingers, and just judging by when he did come back on at the second quarter, it doesn't seem to be causing him a great deal of a problem.
Well, Drew, from down here, there's a lot of football left in this football match, and I think the Sydney Swans are going to have a real crack at it this quarter. Back to you.
Well, as we've seen this year, the minute a team takes another one lightly, look out. So Rose to resume his battle with Pittman. It favours Rose. And the Swans a chance to get it out. Daniels farms the ball out wide. Wheeler hits it hard. Up the ground he goes. Kelly. Minton Connell behind. Rouvray the mark.
That's a better way of playing full back. You've got to read the ball better than the full forward. And that's not hard to do, Pete, is it?
Back towards centre wing. Pittman can't take the mark. Kelly's hand pass is blocked. Wheeler showing endeavour. Gets in there after it. The umpire will have to ball it up.
That's been a good battle in the forward pocket for Sydney. Dale Lewis, he was soundly beaten by Ben Hart in the first quarter. Hart continued on his merry way in the second quarter, winning possessions, but his first job is to stop Lewis kicking goals, and he didn't do that all that successfully in that quarter.
Now, free kick to Mark Bickley back here on centre wing. Towards half forward, Groom is there, and Nigel Smart flying over the back. But he's paid the mark to Groom now. Groom looking down here for Hall and Rashudo. Rashudo at the back flies, tries to get it to ground. Tony Hall working hard in the clinches there, and the umpire will come in and bounce. Hall yet to score a goal. He seems to be playing very wide today in that forward pocket. Only 3 kicks, but always works particularly hard. Here's Pittman tapping it down. Wiedemann out to Liptak. Daniels went without it. Jarman has been magnificent. Onto the left foot. Brings it up towards Rashudo again. Ed Considine races back with a fly. Can't mark, but butters up and taps it wide to McRae. Back to Considine. Considine beautifully done. That's good play to Philandia. Peter Philandia onto the left foot. Brings it back. He'll be looking for Minton Connell. Oh, 2 bites of the cherry. Couldn't quite hang on to it. Now Kaplan. A hurry kick on the left. Down towards the pocket. Lang running back, and so does Scott Lee, and he taps it over the line.
Well, I think he probably would have grabbed it had it not been for David Kapler trying to snaffle it from his hands.
Yep, spoiled by his teammate. Chance for the Swans here. They're in the forward pocket. They have the slight breeze in this third quarter. Well, Pittman easily with his height then. Good strength by Lewis. And if the Swans can get it out of here and snap a goal, well, they might really take the game up to the Crows. Pittman again. Oh, well played. Brilliant football by Lang. Sensational. Well, he's kicked 2, the youngster. Playing in his second game from the Riverina in Leeton. Look at this.
Yes, we said he looked like a player of the future, and he's doing things right now in the present. As we alluded to at half-time, when your side is clearly more skilled than the opposition and they're playing in second gear, if that opposition can come up with a burst of 4 or 5 goals, you can rattle the top side, and that's what causes upsets.
Well, 13 points the margin. There's Jamison, that's holding the ball. Oh, no, he got him a little bit too high.
He didn't duck his head?
Well, I think he did, but lucky to get away with that, Rodney Jamison. To Liptak 60 metres from goal. Rashudo's now on the lead to the pocket. Tony Hall back to the square. Now Rashudo going back to lend a hand. 2-on-2 here. Who's going to take the mark? Oh, Rashudo, a brilliant effort.
That looked like number 6.
It did.
Oh, what a great mark. He hung in the air.
Well, one player that hasn't been in first or second gear this afternoon is Matthew Liptak. He's been electrifying at times, more so in the first quarter than the second, but he set this one up for Mark Rashudo, who took mark of the day.
Well, goal number 5 coming up, and he has kicked it.
Super XHP, you say? The what? The latest SH formula. Who? Yeah, no, mobile. Yeah, mobile. M-O-B-I-L, right? Extra protection. You're talking my language now. Okay, thanks, mate. He asked me why I'm not using Mobile Super XHP.
You big dummy.
Mobile Super XHP saves you worry in the long run.
Back in the middle, and Rose has a big charge at Pittman, but Pittman wins it. Valandia's hand pass. Wheeler, the Swans straight up the middle. Oh, Minton Connell. Well, he was behind his opponent, and the ball looked as though it almost got behind him.
It was a great kick, and that's why Minton Connell marked it.
Yes, Matthew Wheeler is a very long kick. Peter Valandia put him under some pressure with a poor handball that went to his feet, but he snapped it up in two hands, a clean half volley. I know Barassi is big on players being able to take the ball below their knees.
Minton Connell getting value for money. That's 3 goals. Oh, what a sizzling pass by Wheeler.
Yes, he got away from the Wayne Wiedemann. He's going to have to be more defensive here. Have a look at him flash onto the screen. There was that handball. Wiedemann going half pace, and Sanford just burst through and kicked it to Minton Connell's advantage.
There's a good old-fashioned battle going on down there. Simon Minton Connell and, of course, his opponent, Paul Rouvray. Pretty even honours, aren't they, Gerard?
Yes, they've both had a good piece of play each. And, well, I guess the next couple of quarters will decide the battle.
So Pittman versus Rose. Courageous effort by Rose, playing with a broken hand as the kick comes down towards half-forward half. Oh, well played by Lewis. Goal number 4 is in. Oh, good play, Lewis, and great snap. Oh, the Swans coming back. Dale Lewis, as we said, thrashed early, and a bit of aggro going on here. 12-6 to 13-7, Gerard.
Well, this is the danger time now for the Crows, because if Sydney get a bit of a look in, a bit of a sniff for victory, they will grow an extra leg, just like the Crows do over at Football Park, or Squark Park, as it's been named over here or down in Melbourne at times. Lewis is a talented player, no doubt about that, and this is the sort of performance that the Swans followers have been looking for.
7 points the margin. Palm down to Waters, away to Daniels. His hand pass to Armat. Not a great kick by him. Yes, Lewis got there. It looked as though it wouldn't carry. He centres the ball. Minton Connell on the bounce. Good pick up. Rouvray buries him. Valandia goes to ground. High tackle on Minton Connell, free kick.
Valandia, I think, isn't it?
The question here is whether Peter Valandia will be able to make the distance. He isn't a long kick. He has the assistance of the breeze. He still will have to kick at 50 metres. Good to see Minton Connell on the lead. Perhaps that was a leg.
Well, I saw the signal being high. I couldn't see that tackle was high.
See it myself.
That was round the leg.
Former Essendon player, Peter Valandia, starved of a lot of chances there with their fleet of runners. Taking a long run up at this. He can put the Swans within a point. He's done it.
The Mitsubishi April Countdown clearance is on, and that means you can count on getting a great deal on any Mitsubishi light commercial vehicle from now until the end of April. You can count on generous factory bonuses on Triton, Express Vans, Star Wagon and Pajero. And if you're eligible, you can also count on a sales tax exemption. So see your participating Mitsubishi dealer now, because there's one thing more you can count on. Stocks won't last.
Adelaide by a point. Pittman gets it to Anderson. Anderson a hurry kick. Smart versus Bayes. What a contest. Back it comes. Our free kick to Tony Hall for too high on Jason Daniels. A kick to Hall from, he'll have to kick from about 48 metres. He can give it off to Bickley here. Oh, he's covered now. But Gerard Healy said earlier that Dale Lewis had to stand up and be counted. He has done that and kicked 4 goals after a very poor first term when Ben Hart annihilated him. Now this won't quite make the distance. The pack flies. It's a mark. It's a very good mark to Groom. Plays on the left foot, Chris Groom. Oh no, he's got to come back and take his kick. He'll be brought right round on the angle here, I would feel. You take a straight line between the centre of the goals to where he marked it. He should be on a very acute angle.
It looks like young Matthew Powell is warming up for his first run for the season for the Crows. 2 games last season, concussed in both of them, so let's hope he keeps his head out of the way.
He's been taken round. He still should kick this. Groom kicks. I think he's goal. Yes, he has. So a handy one to Adelaide. Chris Groom has kicked his first, and there's a happy man. And now the margin again, 7 points. And there he is, the youngster, Matthew Powell, recruited from South Adelaide, currently being coached by Kenny Sheldon and formerly coached by Don Scott.
Well, let's see if he can really play. But he obviously is the heir apparent to Tony McGuinness's mantle as the #1 rover in, well, for the Crows and perhaps even in the AFL.
It's 4 goals to 2 this quarter in favour of the Swans. Daniels. Great handling. Philandia for a break on Liptak. Wants to get round on the right. He comes back to McRae. McRae beautifully beats Anderson. Pokes it up to Minton Connell. Off hands it goes to Hart. They work it out well. Lee. Man in the middle of the pack couldn't quite take the mark. There's Groom. Endeavour by Wheeler. Gee. There was a brawl in there. And even if they don't win it, they've certainly shown something to Ron Barassi. They've played with spirit. The reserves had a win, and that's all good for the Swans.
There's Pittman getting it down to Liptak. Liptak kicks it over the line, I feel. So it'll be a kick there to Armat, but Sean Wren's off the ground. McGuinness and Modra didn't take their places in the side. But I think it's made a big difference once Gavin Rose has come back onto the ground and has released Bays to go back to centre-half back as well. So his Liptak has been excellent. Oh, his handball straight over the line, and it'll be a throw-in.
Joe, I'd just like to pick you up on that point. I'm not sure Barassi would be happy with another close second. Competitiveness is probably what he's aiming for, but they've got to start winning games. Close seconds are as little value as getting flogged by 15 goals.
Well, here's Bickley receiving from Liptak towards half forward. Rose thumps it down, taken by Wiedemann. Wiedemann sprints to 50 metres. He's run down by Ahmed. Good play. Here's Gasper. Gets in a hand pass. The Crows, though, through Groom. Onto Smart. He sprints into goal, and I think he's goal. Yes.
It's 3 goals to Smart. For the first time, he's kicked one on Bays. Kicked the previous 2 when Bays was in the ruck. Armat lost control of it. Bickley out of the middle. There's Bays in front, running away from Smart. Kicked by Bays to half forward. Kapler couldn't quite take the mark. Jamison with him. Kapler turns away from him, shrugs him off. Kapler goes for goal and kicks it. That's his second. He's had some pot shots, and he's kicked 2 miracle goals.
Well, Mark Bays basically squared the ledger there because he outpointed Nigel Smart, beat him for pace, and he got it down to Kapler, who just backed himself with his own pace, and the fact that we know he is a magnificent kick of the ball and converted from probably the most difficult pocket on this ground to kick a goal from.
7 points the margin. The Crows lead. Pittman versus Rose. Next goal, very important. Rose, a back flick. Oh, McDermott brought down from behind. There's Rodney Jamison. Races through the centre, a little bit too easy. Liptak, Gasper, good play to thump it clear. Who's got the pace? Creswell is there with Anderson. Anderson always tries to get onto that left boot. He does so successfully. Here's Pittman onto McDermott. Danger for the Sydney Swans here. Tony Hall in front. Punched away by Considine. Here's Rashudo looking for someone. Goes to ground. The Swans swoop in on it. They had the numbers there. This is Paul Kelly. Smothered. Oh, what magnificent smother that was by Bickley. Kelly goes to ground. Still in play. Oh, no. over the line now, but Bickley dived on the boot of Kelly. That was magnificent by Bickley.
I still think Ron Barassi's got a problem with young Armat. Tregenza's losing him at centre bounces because he's up on the wing and Armat stays at the half-back flank. A change, I believe, needs to be effected.
The tackle slipped a little bit high as Jamison ducked his head, and he wins the free kick from Wattles. Goes very wide and beats Pittman out of bounds.
Isn't it amazing when a side has a run on, you start to fumble the ball and little things start to go wrong, and it just compounds the situation.
Rose has come from a loose man in defence up to contest this. Pittman beats him. Whistle's gone. Free kick Rose.
The umpires start to go with the crowd. They're only human, and things just start to fall your way.
The kick by Rose, the ex-West Australian. It's punched from the back, goes past Creswell. Jarman's hand pass. 50-50 ball this. Armat taps it back, but only into the path of McDermott. Gasper drops the mark.
He was held.
Free kick to Gasper.
It's been another good battle between the two young players, Gasper and Groom. Groom just kicked a goal not so long ago.
A 17-year-old making his debut, Darren Gasper.
Yeah, Gasper, a lot of talent. Oh, good mark taken by Scott Lee. Has he been moved on to Dale Lewis?
Yes, Ben Hardy's down in the other defensive pocket.
Scott Lee to the half-forward line. Bayes sets himself. Good mark, had his name written all over it. And an excellent mark by Bayes. He's been a terrific player for the Swans.
Hard picking up Lang at the present time.
Here's Kapler versus Visca. A vital ball here. Kapler working hard. Good play, Kapler. Nearly leg. Gets it across to McRae. Another workmanlike performance by him, but a poor kick straight in the hands of Chris McDermott.
Too far for Creswell. McDermott's kicked to half forward. Smart charged at it from miles away. Couldn't handle it. Out of bounds. 7 points the margin. The Crows in front. Yes, it's Adelaide playing Sydney, and the margin is just 7 points. 9.5 minutes to three-quarter time. Rose knocks the ball down. That's Powell. Groom. No mark. Wiedemann. Inside the 50. Good effort for a goal.
7:30 Wednesday. Take a sneak peek.
It's good to be back.
Rush to Australia. It's Tim the Toolman Taylor.
You're on fire. Indeed I am, Al.
In a special preview of Home Improvement's all-new series soon for 7.
I don't think so, Tim.
A brand new episode of Australia's most popular comedy.
Thank you, Australia.
Thank you very much.
A tool-time event followed by more laughs in Boy Meets World.
You're not gonna, like, kiss me now, are you?
So don't forget, 7's all-new Home Improvement preview, 7:30 Wednesday.
The Crows by 13 points as Tregenza gets it to half forward. Taken away by Bayes. Smothered off the boot. Here's Peter Philandia racing after. Gets in a hand pass. This is Daniels. A further hand pass. Creswell to the half forward line. He was looking there for Lewis. A poor kick. Clears Lewis's head and out on the full.
And of course that's one of the problems for Sydney. Under severe pressure, their skills just drop away. And the turnovers are what Barassi and most other coaches of the lower sides point to each time they have a loss.
Liptak dropped the mark. Taken by Armat. Half forward, Courage led it, and the man who had it was Kelly. He's put play on because he'd sidestepped. A one-on-one contest here. Lang back with the flight. Oh, I don't know. He was waiting to see whether...
No, he played on, Pete. Definitely had to sidestep.
Yeah.
And that kick should have gone to the top of the square, instead of just blazing away at the big sticks.
Well, this is Ben Hart. 2 goals the margin. Hart to half back. Some holding going on. Pittman in front. Taken by Daniels, who was
tripped up by his own
man. Kapler was there. Taken by Liptak, who we've already sung the praises of. Here's Bickley. Bickley can go over the top. Good play by Bickley. Wiedemann for goal number 3. Or will he come inside? He will. Nigel Smart straightens up and has missed to the left. So a bad miss, and handy one as far as the Swans are concerned.
Well, I thought a pretty lazy effort there by Nigel Smart. Wiedemann set him up, and he should have got the ball given back to him. He did all the hard work. Smart blazed away, and you saw the result.
Ed Considine. I think Rose would have to be the target. He's gone to the far side. Considine comes this way. McRae at the back. Terrific mark over Smart. Kick by McRae. Kelly really attacking the ball hard. Powell goes back to Visca. A Across the ground he goes to the skipper.
Great
Well done, McDermott. If you wanted a kick on this side, just run past McDermott, you'd get one. Tap on by Hall. Hall nearly out of bounds. Well, now he is. What a severe collision. And that's the youngster Gasper who hit him with everything.
He's getting up quickly. Well done by Darren Gasper. It hurt him, but he's getting up and getting back into the action. Half forward for Adelaide. Punched away by Bays. Does the ruck work well? Oh, that was against Daniels. That was a bad free kick. He pushed Tregenza right in the centre of the back when he didn't have to.
And Gasper's hurt on the half-back flank for the Swans in the hands of the physiotherapist, and they're checking his knee, so let's hope there's no structural damage.
Oh, well played by Bays. A brilliant mark to the centre of the ground. Minton Connell clears the pack. Here's Hepburn. He should kick it quickly. An open goal. It's going to bounce. It'll run. Ben Hart gets back there, but it bounced the wrong way anyway and threw for it behind the Sydney.
Gasper up and running.
And Ahmad has been replaced by Jamie Lawson.
Kick in by Hart to Fisker. And there's perfect disposal. That's not a bouncing ball for Lee, but he did it well. To half forward and Smart. A break on Bays this time. Too far out to score. Hall and Rashuto both lead. Now he comes in short to Liptak. Lawson's gone straight back on him. The hand pass missed the target from Rashuto. Whistle's gone, Swan's free. And Dunkley to take it if he can. Doesn't look too good.
Well, one thing about Andrew Dunkley, he probably lacks a little bit of class, but he's a real goer. I hope that's not a knee injury.
He may be just feigning it to give it to Wheeler.
Well, the way he kicks, are you saying, Gerard, having a go about his kicking? Well, there's that funny-looking kicking style. To centre wing, Lewis swoops on. A good play by Dale Lewis. He really lifted his game. Oh, back with the flight of the ball was Powell. Kelly's got Powell to beat. Kelly does it well. Have a look at this. Creswell. And he marks it 50 metres. McDermott made him earn it. And a goal here for the Swans would be very, very handy. They trail by 12 points. Sydney, oh, look who he's given it to.
That's smart play,
Kapler.
isn't it? The Swans really have lifted their work rate through in the middle of the ground and also off that half-back line. They're getting a lot of, turning a lot of the Crows' attacking moves into their own. They're starting to look like a danger.
Well, Kapler is a very, very long kick. He's kicked 2 already. Now he gets underneath it, it starts to swing. It's close. I think he's kicked his 3rd. He has. 6 points the margin.
Well, often in games like these, it's that last goal, the one that gets you in front or draws your level, it's the most difficult to kick. So the Swans definitely need to get this one out of the centre and bridge the gap and perhaps even forge in front by the finish of this quarter. A marvellous kick there by Darren Kaplan.
The Swans' first home game for the season at the SCG, and they're really taking it up to Adelaide.
Good tackle from Jarman.
All held in. Philandia says no arguments about that. Big pack around it now. Still going nowhere, except down. Under 5 minutes to three-quarter time. One kick the difference. The Crows lead by 6 points. A two-fister out of there to Kaplan. Nearly taken low, but now the Crows have it. Lee comes out wide to Liptak. Bouncing ball for Bickley. Standing start, inside centre half forward. Gasper, in front of him, Groom. Terrific mark.
Bays could have come over the top then and fisted, Gerard.
Yes, and I think also that the young player in Gasper should have gone for the punch also. You see him going for the mark. Well, in this league, young fellow, you just cannot play not low percentage football. That should have been a big fist. And if Ron Barassi had any other options, I'm sure he'd take him off for that indiscretion.
Groom kicks a goal. He's second in this quarter. And again, breathing space for the Crows. I would love to know from the coaching staff of the Crows whether Modra and McGuinness, who made the trip to Sydney, would have played if the opposition hadn't been the Swans?
Well, that's, I guess, something for the crystal ball factor. And there you see the runner from the Swans. He's obviously putting it in positives, giving him a bit of a tap on the backside, Gasper. But the message would have been there. Punch from behind. One of the basic tenos of our game.
Yes, well, he's only a young player. I think Bays was also at fault for not coming and helping the young bloke out. Now, here's Tregenza onto Bickley. A daisy cutting pass. It was meant for Mark Rasciuto. It clears him. They're racing after it. Ed Considine. Well, he's held Tony Hall in check today. Good effort by Considine. Knocked away. That was good play by McRae because he was surrounded by Crows players and knew it and headed for the boundary line.
Well, Pete, I think you're being a bit lenient. Punching from behind is something every 14-year-old is taught.
Oh, you'd be a hard coach. The kid's only 18.
17. Creswell taking it right up there. His left footer. Lewis in short, but that was a disappointing effort by Creswell. Now they have a throw in just at about the 50. 3.5 minutes to three-quarter time. 2 goals the difference, Adelaide in front. They'd led by 2 goals at quarter time and 19 points at three-quarter time. And at one stage in this term, the Swans got to within a point. Jarman, his hand pass, not great this time. Liptak has to go the punch. Waters, well below full fitness, you'd reckon. Jamison over centre wing. Bays with Smart. Out of play.
And Matthew Liptak is still down on the ground on his defensive half back flank. Here you see him in the hands of the trainers. Copped a whack in that last ball up. But you wouldn't go off if you're in the form he's in.
12 points the margin. Rose battling valiantly. Well done by Greg Anderson. To the half-forward line. Wiedemann is there, and eventually it's forced over the line. There's John Mengos looking on. He loves his football, John.
7 Morning Show host.
Half-forward flank, Groom against Rose. Groom, a hurry kick up in front of goal. Dunkley gets it to Waters. Cleverly done by Waters to the half-back line, and Chris McDermott thumps it over the line.
Well, Waters has had the job on Jarman since midway through the first quarter, and he really hasn't had much of the football. Jarman's picked up plenty of possessions, but Waters has to equalise that with a bit of ball work himself.
Philandia diving at it. The umpire said there was...
the old knee drop.
Yep. Well, a low tackle, kick in danger, whatever. Take the free kick. Peter Philandia, who kicked a goal earlier this quarter. Here's Rose. Lawson to Waters. Long kick to the 50. Lewis got underneath it. Still a chance, though.
Oh, great.
Oh, pops over a little hand pass. This is Lang. Look at, oh, disappointing. Rouvray in front. And Rouvray out of trouble. McDermott, disposal, perfection.
Centre wing. Here's Mark Bickley coming right into the game. To half-forward, Gasper back with the flight. Danger here because Groom races after it. Sockers it off the ground in front of the Crows' goal. Tony Hall working hard. And it's socked. And a trip. Free kick has been played to Tony Hall. 10 metres out directly in front. This is a bad one as far as Sydney is concerned. Just what they didn't want. Let's have a look what happened.
Well, this is a real grey area in our game. Hall probably, well, another shocker for mine.
Now, Tony Hall kicks and has goal. So that is Tony Hall's first goal. And there's a happy Adelaide supporter. 15-8 to 18-8. So now the margin 18 points. He was all over his back though, Gerard, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he played kicking in danger there.
I know he did.
Free kick.
And
that just wasn't on. There's been a couple of those incidents. Well, that is just ridiculous.
Yeah. It's not a kick in danger free kick. It could have been for in the back, but he didn't play it that way.
Now the margin's back out to 3 goals. Minute 28 to three-quarter time. Lang, 21. He'll take a free. Swans fans going crook as though they haven't had any free kicks. The free's actually 21-20 in favour of the Swans. That broke the deadlock. Lewis to Minton Connell. Rouvray. It's been a terrific contest, that. Rouvray kicks backwards. And Kelly nearly whipped in there and grabbed it.
Well, Simon Minton Connell really should have marked that, because he was in the perfect position over the back. There he is. As we said, a great contest, he and Paul Rouvray.
Just makes you a little bit nervous, though, Rouvray. Some of his disposal in the last couple of weeks has been left a bit to be desired.
They race into the pack. They've got it on their half-forward line, the Swans. They badly need a goal before three-quarter time. Adelaide by 18 points. And there's a heap of players in this pack. Pittman taps it back. Scott Lee smothered off the boot. Liptak surrounded by Swans players, and in they come. They dive on, it'll be a bounce. As the time clock ticks down, Peter Philandia on the bottom of that pack.
Yabba was a famous cricket barracker here. Sounds like he's been reincarnated here today with that bloke. Lewis buried, couldn't get boot to ball. Gee, we've had about 5 ball-ups in a row here. In a minute, the umpire, you'd reckon, would nearly pay a free kick. But the clock is ticking down, and so it'll be three-quarter time before he can. And there is the siren. So a frustrating effort, I suppose you could say, from the Swans. They started the quarter trailing by 19. They now trail by 18 after they got to within a point. Adelaide, 18-8. Sydney, 15-8.
He's won 3 in a row. Can anybody beat Mark Skate? Round 4 of the touring cars from Phillip Island today.
Always visualise your opponent as your worst enemy. Oh, person you absolutely despise the most. The absolute most. And that applies from the kick-off right through to the final siren. Now remember that.
You guys are quick learners.
It's the Junior Drivers Happy Meal. There's Ronald McDonald, Birdie, Grimace and Hamburger. Get one free with your $3.50 Junior Drivers Happy Meal. Plus a cheeseburger, small french fries and a small Coke. Hey guys, over here!
Move it on up to Hit Machine 4. 20 hits from 20 artists, including MP Pop, Baby Animals and Jimmy Barnes with the Bad Love. Def Prime and Urge Overkill. More hits from Culture Beat. There's EYC, Sharnay, 2 Unlimited and more. Get into maximum overdrive with Hit Machine Volume 4.
These days we're more sensitive to our body's needs. I want a really effective antiperspirant deodorant that's gentle to my skin. Rexona Hypoallergenic Roll-On is alcohol-free, so it doesn't sting, even after shaving. Its gentle, effective formula gives me long-lasting confidence. It's the one step in my routine I never forget. New Rexona Hypoallergenic. It won't let you down.
If you're responsible for your company's super fund, the government has just added roughly this much to your duties. Your solution, Colonial Master Fund. Colonial will take the paperwork and reporting off your hands, give you access to a range of high-caliber fund managers, and the freedom to change your mix to get better results. Call for this brochure and prospectus. Wouldn't your super be better off with Colonial?
Tonight,
Mate going right off.
join Steve Monaghan
He's opted for the steak.
Lucky and Jimmy Barnes
We were going off like a frog in a sock.
in the craziest hour of comedy on TV.
Dueling banjos. Open the bloody door. There, sort you like that.
It's Jim Owen,
Take a walk on the left side. Really enjoyed that. Going sick. Can I speak to Bono, please?
Australia's maddest comedian.
Call me that.
Jim Owen, 7:30 tonight on 7.
They came back, the Swans, but the Crows finished the quarter well to lead by 18 points, 18-8 to 15 goals 8. Leading goal scorers, Rasciuto has 5 for the Crows, Smart has 3, and Wiedemann's kicked a couple, Brown's kicked 2. And for the Sydney Swans, the leading goal scorers, Lewis has 4, Minton Connell 3, and Kapler has kicked 3 goals.
This match is part of the Fosters' 1994 AFL Premiership season.
Now, some viewers will be seeing a replay of the Collingwood-Footscray game and then also a replay of the Carlton-Geelong game at the conclusion of this match. So if you don't wish to know the scores of those games, look away now. Now let's take a look at the Sports World Mark of the Week, and this is where you get the chance to vote for what you reckon is the Mark of the Week. First one, Stephen Silvani. Do you like that, Mark? There is the phone number. In front of 85,000 at the MCG on Easter Monday. Adrian McAdam on Friday night against Hawthorn.
The juggler. I call him David Copperfield. He just pulls them out of nowhere. Courtesy of Romero and Steve.
Corey McKernan, a young up-and-comer in the ruck.
Yes! McKernan did it with the one hand initially, got it across to Rock. He charges in towards the half-forward line. Get that man again.
Now, Matthew Rogers, a youngster, one of the highlights for Richmond yesterday against the Eagles.
Rogers, who was busy last
beaten
week
by 96 points and kicked only 5 goals. Rogers took a nice mark. David Grant was superb for the Saints against Essendon. He's found a bit. Grant has been one of them and flies like an eagle to take that mark. Away to Robert Harvey. His hand pass further. So they're the 5 marks. 0055. If you want Silvani, it's 60681. If you want McAdam, 682. McKernan, 683. Rogers, 684, or David Grant, 685. The lines are open, and you can vote for the Mark of the Week. Down to the 2 Neils.
Yes, well, Coach Graham Corns' instructions at three-quarter time were very plain and specific. Concentrate on using the ball correctly. Tighten up in defence. There's far too many loose Swans players available for use on that quarter, and he just wants to get back to the basics and play good, hard, strong footy.
Ron Barassi, he said it's a matter of credibility. Here's a chance for the Swans to show whether they have got some credibility in AFL football.
Promises to be a great last quarter. Back to you, Drew.
So the umpire to bounce the ball to start the final term. Gavin Rose courageously taps it down. Dean McRae. The Swans 3 goals behind as they go forward. Or Lewis, a good attempt. Here's a chance for Kapler. Smothered off the boot. Racing after it is Powell. Gets in a hand pass, and eventually Paul Rouvray takes it through for a behind, but a good build-up by the Swans then to start the final term.
Troy Luff is back on the ground, and he's picking up young Chris Groom. He was a bit of a thorn in the Sydney side last quarter.
Rouvray straight up the middle, just short of a length on the cricket pitch. Is that a mark? No. Jarman the hand pass, gets it away, and the Crows running. It was going to be a free kick. Advantage. Lip tack, a long kick to full forward. Over the head of Hall. This will be a goal. Lip tack from a mile. Well, what a heartbreaker for the Swans.
Well, if you ever wanted to have an example of how you play this ground, this one is it. It was the long kick out of the centre from the back line. A little bit of a dinky handball there from Tregenza, and then another long kick. Hall could possibly have led further up the ground just to open up the goal square, but boy, was that a nice kick.
Well, Matthew Liptak has kicked 3.
It should all have been reversed the other way, because that mark that Hepburn dropped was an absolute sitter.
So Rose taken by Jarman out of the middle. Troy Luff, oh, he should have grabbed that with 2 hands in. Now he gets it on the left foot. A real chance here for the Swans, because Darren Creswell's on centre wing, no one near him for 20 metres. He should keep going. Swings onto the left foot, brings it in towards full forward. Minton Connell at the back. The ball hits the deck. Here's Peter Philander. Now which way will it bounce? He kicks it on the left foot, rolls across the face and over the line, 20 metres around from the behind post. Been a fair player, Gerard.
Well, I'm not sure I agree with that one, Pete. He's worked reasonably hard, but I think he's just certainly lacks a little bit of fitness at the moment. And if you looked at the people he's played on, they've been quite damaging.
Jamieson gets it down to Visca. Kick wide. And out of bounds on the full.
Well, I did say he's been a fair player,
Well,
as in not dirty.
Yes, all right. Well, no mud on the knees.
Daniels. Yeah, good mark, Kelly. Well within scoring distance.
Well done.
But he chooses not to go for goal and gives it to the longest kick in the team, nearly, Darren Kapler.
And Kapler, no doubt, has been instructed just to sneak in and try to get on the end of some short kicks, because he's one of the better kicks in the side and fills that role very well.
Kapler has kicked 3 goals. 51 metres out. Oh, look at that. Great kick. Four for Kapler. You'd have to be happy looking at that, Pete.
Well, he is one of the best kicks in the game. He and Bays, they are magnificent, aren't they, on that left foot, Jared?
Yes, often players get a big rap for kicking the ball long, but in reality, it's who finishes up with it at the end of the possession. I know a couple of players I played with had big reputations for their kicking. For mine, they were probably not justified.
Well, here come the Crows again. Bickley getting it to Jarman. Oh, good mark. A finger tipper taken by Dunkley.
Much better play from Dunkley.
Playing in front.
Read the ball himself and won it over.
There's that wobbly kick. No mark to Considine. Back it comes to Luff. Oh, here they go. The Swans. They're not going to lie down. Paul Kelly races away. Brings it to the half-forward line. They need a mark. And there it is. Oh, nearly a free kick. Not paid. Minton Connell. That time it could have been. Here's Liptak. Centre of the ground. Rod Jamieson can't pick it up. Now he does. On the mark, Bickley. Bickley brings it to the pocket. Mark Rasciuto. Dunkley at the back. Fisted over the fence. Good defensive football. So Rasciuto started off very, very well. He's kicked 5. But Dunkley really sticking to his task.
Groom in ruck for the boundary throw-in. Jarman in the back gives away the free. 17 points the margin. A rush behind earlier in the quarter took it to under 3 goals. It could yet be an important point. And still, if they can finish strongly, the Swans close enough to cause one of the greatest upsets of all time. But what a disappointing kick.
Well, that's what I said earlier in the game about Kelly. He has to do something about his kicking, or it's wasted time in getting it.
Tregenza with the free.
Tregenza down towards full forward. Rasciuto, the flyer in the centre of the pack. Danger here for Sydney because Liptak's got it. On to Chris McDermott. McDermott up towards the goal square. Pushing and shoving going on. Oh, they're paying another free kick. This man-on-man stuff. Well, they were pushing and shoving. Was he held? He might have been retarded a little bit. But the free kick paid directly in front, and a goal coming up here to Nigel Smart. And there it is.
The Mitsubishi April Countdown clearance is on, and that means you can count on getting a great deal on any Mitsubishi light commercial vehicle from now until the end of April. You can count on generous factory bonuses on Triton, Express Vans, Star Wagon and Pajero. And if you're eligible, you can also count on a sales tax exemption. So see your participating Mitsubishi dealer now, because there's one thing more you can count on. Stocks won't last.
Nigel Smart has kicked 4 goals. So Adelaide just hanging on to that lead. They've looked the better side. A lot more class, but Sydney still having a red-hot go. There's Lewis. McDermott goes to ground, caught with the ball. Kicked in mid-air by Bickley. Now towards full forward, Tony Hall dives and marks. 25 metres out from goal, directly in front. It's been held pretty well.
Yeah, Scott Waters having a rest on the bench, and Brad Seymour coming on. Waters did look like he was labouring somewhat. Tony Hall will bob up and kick critical goals.
So here's his kick for his second and his goal. So a good lead now to Adelaide. A little bit more class as far as finishing is concerned. 21-8 to 16-9.
Well, I think you're being generous again. A lot more class, and that's probably been even more reason to wrap up the Swans for some of their efforts today. They're clearly underdone in talent. They've been very competitive, despite the fact that we know that Wren went off. You can only beat the players that are out on the ground. Modra not playing and McGuinness not playing. But a creditable performance to date from the Swans.
Greg Anderson went off the ground. Brown back on. McRae knocks it forward for the Swans. Little hand pass was good in there in the clinches to McRae. Across the half-forward line he goes. That hand pass, incidentally, came from Seymour, who's just back on for the Swans. Over the top it comes. Philandia. Philandia shoots but misses.
Free kick.
Yeah, he'll get another chance.
He should have handballed over the top.
Dead right. But he gets a second chance, so the Swans not out of it, of course. It's hard to see them winning. It'd be a miracle of a comeback. Now, there was plenty of time there to spot Lewis. The Crow player there was coming at him. He would have sucked him in and been able to pop it over to Lewis. So in reality now he has to kick this goal. And he does look to be carrying a bit of a groin, Pete.
Is that what that big bandage is, Gerard?
I'm not sure that's a groin.
Well, the Swans desperately need this. But it's a game you would think where there's a higher than usual proportion of free kicks that have scored goals.
Yes, I think the stats
we've seen more of it, aren't we?
Well, there's plenty more of it, but as I was saying before, I'm not sure it's because of the extra umpire. I think they're just focusing on it a lot more. They were there all the time in previous years, but they saw them, but they turned a blind eye to them. And I also maintain that if you paid similar ticky touchwood free kicks in the middle of the ground, well, then ruck rovers and rovers players that are being impeded would have 15 free kicks a game.
Now, here's Kaplan on the Rose. The Swans coming again down towards Lewis. Oh, good pick up, Dale Lewis. Hooks it to the pocket. Now, the bounce, very important here. Minton Connell over the back. And who's that? That's the youngster, Powell, taking it to the line. We have been told by Neil Curley that that's the law of Neil Cordy, was it? That that's the law of the week ump. Neil Curley, in fact, that's the law of the week. Umpires really focusing on the forward line free kicks. So we can see that today in this game. Be a bounce 25 metres out from the Swans' goal. There's still in it with half a chance, Gerard.
Yeah, they'd have to kick a couple in a hurry and just get that vital ingredient momentum back their way.
Yes, they're in with half a chance and could still be beaten by 10 goals. It's one of those. Centre of the ground, Wiedemann. Wiedemann's kick inside the 50. Prosciutto charges hard at it. And Considine did well. Luff could have taken possession. Did you say grab it, or did you call him a rabbit?
He should have grabbed it.
Well, there has been quite a number of pretty classy knock-ons, mainly from the Crows players today, but in that situation where you don't really know what's coming around you, you've got to grab the ball in two hands and get the quick handball going. Once again, another percentage piece of play not adhered to by Sydney.
Another free kick, and just for the records, it's 25-22, the free kicks in favour of the Swans.
Yes, the umpires haven't had any effect on the game as far as that's concerned. They've umpired fairly well for the majority of times. Just those couple of tiggy touch with ones up forward, a bit questionable at times. As we see Pittman getting it down to Ben Hart. Oh, tap to the line. And that is by Mark Visca. Half forward for the Swans. Still battling away. Plenty of time. But they've got a decent leeway to make up. 17-9 plays 21-8. 23 points. 4 goals they have to kick. Gaspar versus Pittman. Too tall. Taps it down. Creswell battling hard. Dives on it. And the umpire... Oh, he's given him a free kick. Oh, gee, that was a bit soft.
Well, 4 goals isn't a lot in today's football, particularly when you're playing on this ground.
Now, Minton Connell leading. That's a good lead. They've got 2 players here. The Swans at the back on good fist away. That was by Tregenza. Now it's Jamie Lawson loose. That was good play by Tregenza because he punched away initially, then chased after it and got it again.
Yes, he's had a pretty good day at times today, Tregenza, but Lawson once again fumbling at the crucial moment.
Kick by McDermott. Smart tries to knock the ball on, but it comes to Luff. Creswell. Here comes Bickley. blind hand pass taken by Lee. Terrific tackle in there. Lee had to give it back to Bickley. He's got just inside the boundary line. He's got it. The tackler back there was Lewis. Bickley's kick is perfect. Oh. And Matthew Liptak had followed up from the centre of the ground and gave Lawson a merry chase.
I really like Liptak's game today. I'm not sure what Jamie Lawson thinks he's doing with that one, but I'm not sure it's upset Matthew Liptak all that much.
25 disposals this will be for Matthew Liptak. And I think he's missed it, though.
He didn't put a lot of time into preparing for that goal. Went back and perhaps rushed it a little bit. But he has been one of the danger players for the Crows, along with McDermott and Jarman at times in the middle. Brown's also bobbed up. They've just really dominated for most of the day, other than the third quarter, through the middle of the ground.
Ed Considine way out towards centre wing. Kicked forward by Visca. Thumped the ground. Taken by Sanford Wheeler. Sprints clear and brings it to the half-forward line. The pack develops. Up they go. Thumped away from Gaspar. Racing after it is Kelly. He's got eyes only for the ball. Caught and puts it over the line. The Swan supporters felt it was too high. I thought he ducked the head, and Scott Lee, in fact, appealed for a free kick for holding it. So centre wing. Pittman and Gaspar. Pittman too strong. Jarman, McDermott. Orchestrated, isn't it? Bickley receives from Jamison. Right down towards full forward. Considine has done well. Socket off the ground by Smart, and he has put it through for his fifth.
Super XHP, you say? The what? The latest SH formula. Who? Yeah, no, mobile. Yeah, mobile. M-O-B-I-L, right? Extra protection. You're talking my language now. Okay, thanks, mate. He asked me why I'm not using mobile Super XHP.
You big dummy.
Mobile Super XHP saves you worry in the long run.
5 goals the margin now. 11 minutes 20 left. Pittman gets it out of the middle. Wren's been on the bench since the first quarter. Thigh injury. Bickley. Oh, look at Liptak, and he's run. He's just taking Lawson all over the park. Liptak floats one over the top. Groom. Top smother that. Smother was Creswell.
Ed Considine coming off the ground. He appears to be injured. Scott Waters back onto the ground. And Seymour's gone down into the back pocket to pick up Tony Hall.
Creswell has worked pretty hard, but that was a tired-looking hand pass. It didn't reach Lewis. Free kick to Lewis.
So Dale Lewis, got to hand it to him. Poor first term on Ben Hart, and since then has been a terrific player. Troy Luff marks. Gives it off to Creswell, who's battled hard. Towards half-forward Gaspar. That is interesting. They're trying him up forward at the moment. That's good to give the youngster a go on the forward line. Gaspar looking for Minton Connell. Chipping across is Visca.
One of Gaspar's big problems is he has a bit of a deficiency in the technique of kicking. He does tend to drop the ball a little bit early. And if there's any wind blowing, it can make the contact with the boot less than perfect.
Liptak won a hard ball there. Got it to Tregenza. Sensational display. Up to the goal square. Hall.
Well, this will be good for Seymour. A real lesson. And a bit of experience gained on playing on a top professional player. He really had the front position there, Seymour, but he was just outmanoeuvred. And Hall will probably go with a check side.
He's kicked 2. He makes it 3. Well, this could be 10 goals or more, this margin.
Yes, it's a real danger now, Drew. I think you're right. The Swans really have to do themselves justice by holding on and perhaps getting 1 or 2 back, because, as you say, this could blow out to a bit of an embarrassment after really being competitive for most of the game. I think they came in a little bit underdone. There's no doubt that perhaps Hepburn ran out of steam. He had a pretty good first quarter. Scott Waters hasn't played much football, and he'll be better for the run. I think another positive for the Swans is that Matthew Wheeler appears to be in some form.
Considine's gone off the ground, Neil Cordy.
Yeah, Ed Considine, he was doing a good job on Tony Hall for most of the game, and he's come off with a bruised hip and is getting some ice on it right now.
And the Swans go forward to Paul Kelly, working hard. Now Lewis. Lewis taps it wide. Oh, some sort of hip and shoulder by Visco. Put Jason Daniels down. There was a hard knock. He's still down, Jason Daniels. On the ground, there was a hip and shoulder, very hard bump. A long hand pass comes out to David Brown. He brings it into the pocket. Over the back is Jamie Lawson. Still down is Jason Daniels. Let's hope he's not too badly hurt there as Paul Kelly sets himself as grab. And it'll be a free kick to Kelly on centre wing.
Kelly, but the whistle's gone again. He's got to come back. Or they're stopping play for Daniels getting treatment. He's not seeing too well, Jason Daniels. No, I'll be right, he says. If I can lip read. Now look at this hip and shoulder. He's down over the ball. Whack!
Oh.
Visco.
He's had a pretty fair game since coming back onto the ground, Jason Daniels. Tregenza's done some pretty smart stuff, but he's a talented player, and he's cut up plenty of sides in his time. So he hasn't been beaten, I don't think, Tregenza, but certainly curtailed by Jason Daniels, who's one of the better stoppers in the business and has really done a lot of work on his kicking over the summer with RDB. And his theory, Ron Barassi, is if you teach them how to kick on the left foot, then they'll be able to teach themselves how to kick on the right. And it certainly paid some dividends with Daniels.
The hold up there was a stretcher coming on and having to go back off. Well, Lewis has it on the 50 on the boundary line. He's kicked 4. Hoists this one high. McRae gets very high, roving the pack. Cresswell.
With RACV Insurance, 3 claim-free years on rating 1 really means something.
I still have 1 claim, even if it's my fault, and I still don't lose my rating 1.
But in your case, it's even better. Because you've had 6 claim-free years on rating 1, you can have 2 claims, even if they're your fault, without losing your rating 1.
Excellent.
Switch your policy now.
Jarman again to McDermott. The long kick clears the pack and out of bounds right down beside that behind post.
And one of Chris McDermott's very close friends, I believe, Mark Sav McGill, who's the promotions officer for the Crows, had his Bucks night last night. So, and I believe it was at Chris McDermott's pub. A big night was missed out by the Crows captain.
I'm sure he'd rather be playing football, wouldn't he, Gerrards?
He's at his party today.
Yes, he had a pretty good game, hasn't he? Now, he was suspect with a bit of a knee injury.
Well, he's been a fantastic player, Chris McDermott, over the years.
I'm sure he'd be happy, though, as long as they were paying the full price over the bar.
As we see Rose. It's Wiedemann with a quick hand pass. Watters, Jarman appealing for a free kick. And umpire's going the other way. It'll go to Kelly.
Under 8 minutes left. McRae, you're gone. Bickley, what a good tackle. Ball still in, Jarman. And still in, Brown.
Yes, well, that handball was ridiculous, and it happened earlier in the game. Hepburn handballed one off to Wheeler.
Somebody will finish in the gutter here.
I wonder if Andrew Jarman had anything to do with that at all.
Possibly. Crows moving it forward. Here's the skipper, McDermott. He'll take a free, and he'll go back for a pot shot for a goal.
Yes, getting back those handballs. If you handball behind you, the ball has got to go wide. Otherwise, the man on the mark will just run in and tackle the bloke that you handball to. And particularly when you handball it to the boundary line, you're under pressure from the word go.
McDermott's kick is good. His first goal today, McDermott.
And Wayne Wiedemann coming off the ground to be replaced by Rodney Maynard. Wiedemann's done reasonably well. He's kicked a couple of goals. I thought Sanford Wheeler has done reasonably well on him also since he came onto that player halfway through that 3rd quarter.
He's not a prolific goal scorer, McDermott. 68 games for 21 goals in the AFL.
He's a very, very fair player, McDermott. Plays it hard and tough.
He's had a big game today.
I'll say he has. Rose versus Pittman. Sean Wren, of course, with the cork thigh off the ground. Went off very, very early in the piece. Here's Andrew Jarman. Great hands. Out to Visca. Visca to Liptak. Oh, he drops the sitter, but he might get around here and run in and have a shot. He races 60 metres, smothered by Jamie Lawson. That was good play. Here's Nigel Smart. Lawson with pace. On to McRae. Now, Dean McRae can bring it to the half-forward line. Philandia races after Peter Philandia. Oh, if he had have got it over the top, he had Lewis on his own. A free kick to Philandia. And he'll take it way out at half-forward.
Frees are getting out now, 31-24. Visca, oh, he drops that one. He's had a good game today. Back he goes to Lee. The hand pass up to Rouvray. Creswell, who kicked a goal a short time ago. Lewis tries to go off the ground, straight into the stomach of Mark Visca. Luff at centre wing, we're just behind. Good pressure by Groom, sees the ball away from him.
Well, although Darren Kapler's kicked 4 goals, Gerard, Visca's been a very good player.
Well, the word from Adelaide is that he needed a good game. He's been struggling a little bit. Once again, I reiterate that probably a defender's priority is to stop your man kicking goals.
Ben Hart caught. No, breaks the tackle. Geez, quick. Towards half-forward, Dunkley races at it, and it's a good honest goer. Dunkley further afield to Seymour. He finds another youngster in Lang, who's kicked 2 goals. One a brilliant goal. Kicks wide. He's looking there for Dean McRae. McRae, now he's got his full forward, 1 out, Minton Connell, if he kicks it now. No, a bit too slow. Now the umpire's calling play on. He gets easily around Brown. Minton Connell still 1 out. Here they go. Minton Connell will swoop from the back here. Now puts himself in front. Ball hits the deck. Lewis to Philandia. Philandia snaps. And he has goal.
A husband vanished without trace.
He doesn't want you to find him.
A mysteriously beaten body.
Is that your husband?
But is it murder or a sinister cover-up?
Your husband is not Daryl Bryant McCaughlin.
Who is this?
Double identities, hidden lives.
I don't believe this.
A bizarre trail
That was Daryl.
that will lead them to a shocking secret.
Look out!
Mark Harmon
I gotta know what happened to him.
and Mimi Rogers.
I don't know who the hell he is.
Tightrope tense thrills on The Fourth Story. 8:30 Monday on 7.
Well, Pittman just limped off the ground, so they've got their 3rd ruckman, and it's Groom and wins this. Down to Liptak. Oh, Bickley, but the kick astray. Luff takes the mark. Gets a run from defence from Brad Seymour, a teenager in his first season. Wide, very wide. Kapler tries to knock the ball up the ground. Gets a bit of lip from Visca. Now, they're going down like 9 pins, Neil Curley.
Yes, we have Pittman with a severely bruised right thigh being strapped now and iced. I don't think he'll take any further part in the game.
Well, that's 2 ruckmen, Wren and Pittman, who'll see plenty of activity in the medical room this week. Jarman goes back to McDermott. They must have had 100 possessions between the 2. Bayes.
Well done, Mark Bayes. Beautiful mark. Now he's looking for Luff. Oh, they collide. Luff and Creswell. That's not good play. Just no talk whatsoever there.
Full credit must go to the Crows, though. They came here undermanned without Modra and McGuinness, 2 of their guns. It's a difficult trip to come to Sydney, particularly when it's as hot as it has been here today. They've just gone about it in a professional way. They were under the hammer a couple of times during the 3rd quarter. But the class of the likes of Smart and Tony Hall really did tell.
Oh, here's Lang on to Luff. Now, where's the lead? Here it is, Minton Connell, but he's at the back. No mark, Philandia tries to get his boot to ball. Tregenza shuffles it out. Chris McDermott, been an outstanding player. Brings it to the half-forward line. The race is on. Dean McRae, Nigel Smart coming from the back. He's pretty quick, Smart, but eventually McRae takes it over the line. Half-forward for the Crows.
Been impressed with McRae's game. Been a solid worker for Sydney.
Gee, nobody needed that long chase at this stage of the game. There was a very wide kick from McDermott. They all had to run about 100 metres.
Crows, of course, play Geelong at Football Park next week. It'll be another big event over in Adelaide.
Oh, here's another injury. Maynard going off with, gee, that could be a broken wrist or something.
Doesn't look too good.
McDermott runs out of room. And, of course, the Swans' next game is next Friday night. So viewers in Sydney might like to come and see the Swans against Richmond next Friday night. Maynard doesn't look too good.
What do you think that injury is, Mr. Physiotherapist here?
What, a broken arm or?
It didn't look too good to Rodney Maynard.
Should be a good game here next Friday night, Drew, with the Tigers and Sydney. They've had a pretty good history of it. Some very close finishes up here. I'm sure the Swans will be looking forward to opening their account with 4 points.
Now, David Brown, Ben Hart, Greg Anderson.
Been pretty quiet today.
Matthew Liptak. Jarman. Oh, good play by Bates. Now he goes in to tackle Anderson. Anderson breaks the tackle. Oh, great hand pass. Jarman, unselfishly, possibly should have had a shot actually in the finish. Now here's Stanford Wheeler. He goes to ground. They dive in on top of it. And the umpire will bounce this one 20 metres out from the 35 metres, I should say, in front of the Crows' goal.
He's a real utility, Mark Rasciuto. I've seen him play in about 4 positions, and every time he's played in those variable positions, he's come up with a very good game.
Smart's knock is chopped off by Ahmad. He's given it straight to Brown, who misses. Interesting, the 3-man interchange came in just in time for Adelaide. Otherwise, they'd be finishing this game 1 short.
Oh, short pass straight to Jarman. You love having a pot shot at goal when he drew.
Well, I'm sure he'd be rapt just to get a big run under his belt. Once again, the word from Adelaide was that he was perhaps putting a little bit of weight on around the mid-rift.
Oh, no wonder, sitting on the bench every week.
It'd be frustrating, wouldn't it?
This is his 34th disposal.
Had an absolute picnic here.
Well, it's that, but it's not his first goal. Now, what's the news on Rodney Maynard?
Well, it's not good down here. The doctor's doing the examination now to above his wrist and arm area, and they don't know if it's cracked or not, but it's not good. He certainly will take no further part in the game.
Gee, there was a bloke for a couple of seasons and never missed a game.
Now the kick to half-back. Hepburn's been a very quiet player. Here's Anderson, caught. Gets his boot to ball. Too long, the umpire said. So it'll be, as Gerard Healy says, Speedy Gonzalez. And that's Jamie Lawson. Now the Swans through Hepburn. Hand pass to Luff. Now they outnumber the Crows here. Luff elects to look for Simon Minton-Connell, who's at the back. Dives, can't mark. Rouvray does it well. Chips it across. A dangerous kick to Lang. Well played by Lang. Races into goal, and that's poise and class. Well done. So this young player, Damien Lang from Leeton, up in the Riverina, has kicked his third.
Hasn't been just the fact that he's kicked goals, Pete. It's the way he's gone about it. There's been a couple of very classy performances. And the long arm, boy, he's got some long arms, hasn't he? Long arms, long legs.
And the finishing off was terrific. Some players there, Gerard, would have just blazed away.
Yes, he had great composure. Something you really can't train in players. It's an inherent skill. Well, I guess Sydney, they do lack skill, so their junior players, they get the high draft choices. They have to be talented and skillful.
Here's Gasper out of the middle. Not too sure what to do. He eventually puts it out in front of Daniels. His kick inside the 50. Philandia works to the back. Minton-Connell gets rid of Rouvray. Kelly, what a goal that is!
Well, I've knocked his kicking a bit today. We're going to give him a rap for that one. No, you describe it.
Thanks, Pete.
Well, that was a great kick, but it's normally on the run, the set shots. That was a snap, of course.
Well, you're the goal-kicking expert.
Well, have a look at this. Paul Kelly, around the corner, miraculous goal. Well done to Paul. He's got to do more of that.
He must have heard you, I think.
So at least the Swans fighting this right out. It's a good score line now for the Swans. Here's Ben Hart racing across half-back. Gives it to Anderson. Anderson to Smart. Nigel Smart, 65 metres from goal. Now leads are on. Tony Hall is the first one. Out he comes. Went past it. Here's Ahmad. Very casually. Sprints away. Onto the left foot. Ahmad as the time clock ticks down. Almost full time. Tregenza racing out there with Dale Lewis, and Dale Lewis takes it over the line.
Well, they'll get the points, the Adelaide Crows, but it might be a benchmark in their season, this game, because they've lost 3 more players during the day. They had to go in without McGuinness and Modra, and 3 more injuries. And a thigh injury. We didn't think Lockett's was very serious, and he's going to miss a couple, so how serious is Wren's? There's Lawson, right on the siren. The mark's taken by Kelly. He'll have to go back and have a set shot for goal.
Talk us through this one, Pete.
Would you back him, Jared? Now, hang on, the taut instep. Put your head over it, son.
Come on, you're the kicking coach at Collingwood.
Kelly goes for a long one. Well, it's close.
It's a goal, I think, is it?
0.
No.
No, not quite there. So that's it. And this game has produced 45 goals between them. Very high-scoring game on this small ground. And the Crows were triumphant after the Swans got to within 1 point in the 3rd quarter. They'll feel pretty empty about the fact that they've eventually gone down here by 19 points. But, well, I suppose if you're taking bets with take margins into account, you'd have thought, well, 19 points, they couldn't get that close.
Well, I think the margin was actually 34 points from the bookie, so they've probably destroyed a few of the experts' gambling ventures. But you'd have to say that the Crows did magnificently well through the middle of the ground. Chris McDermott had more than 30 touches. Liptak had 30 touches and was involved in many goals being set up. Mark Bickley had also a big game, and Neil Cordy has an interview for us.
Neil Curley.
Yeah, thank you. Here we have Matty Liptak, who's played a very good individual game, but Matty, never easy to win at Sydney.
No, they're very tough, very competitive, and they had to dip all day. Yeah, very tough.
You'd have to be happy with your game. You found a bit of ball today.
Yeah, well, Tony wasn't playing, so it gave me a bit of a chance to get on the ball, and found a bit of touch, stuffed up a few things, but I'm pleased to get a few touches today, which is good.
And, of course, from the bad side, the Crows have picked up a few nasty injuries.
Well, I'm not too sure on the extent of them, so I can't comment on it.
Well, I'll let you go and enjoy your win. Well played.
Thanks, Drew.
Back to you, Drew.
Yeah, top effort there by Matthew Liptak. And the Crows got the points, but only by 19 points here in a high-scoring romp. 24-10, 154. Sydney leaving the ground to applause from the Sydney fans. They did well. They lost. They kicked 21-9, 135.
The name of the game is Australian.
How was the second honeymoon? Unbelievable. Day 1, David's getting breakfast. Next thing, he's standing on the bed wearing nothing but the tray.
Kate?
Right. He trips, wrecks his knee, and we've got scrambled eggs from here to the Gold Coast. Luckily, we've got Aussie Car Assist with the comprehensive insurance. They brought us back home from Queensland, and they brought the car back.
Aussie Assist sounds expensive.
That's free.
Well, what sort of insurance company does that?
RACV Insurance. It's not just another insurance company.
G'day, Romeo.
You had
It's the Junior Drivers Happy Meal. There's Ronald McDonald, Birdie, Grimace and Hamburger. Get one free with your $3.50 Junior Drivers Happy Meal. Plus a cheeseburger, small french fries and a small Coke. Hey guys, over here!
Barrel cleaner or upright? Versatility versus carpet care. Well, you can have the best of both worlds with the brand new Hoover Breeze, a great carpet cleaner with its own onboard tools. Hoover Breeze is so quick and easy to use on the carpet, and right at hand you have all the tools for cleaning upholstery and dusting. Around $300, you reckon? Well, trade up now at Godfrey's and pay just $1.99. What a bargain. Godfrey's, Caulfield South, Ringwood, Footscray, Frankston, Geelong, or the Godfrey's store near you.
Flashdance, this year's Ultimate Dance Set with DJ Bobo. Sub with Melanie Williams. Johnny Gill. Peter Andre. 2 Unlimited. Captain Hollywood Project. The top 28 dance hits of '94, Danny and more. Flashdance, out now from Concept.
Well, a good win there to the Adelaide Crows. They fought off a determined Sydney Swans who got to within a point, and the final score 24-10, 154 to 21 goals, 9, 135. Nigel Smart kicked 5 goals. Mark Rasciuto, who's played at full forward in place of Modra, kicked 5. Tony Hall kicked 3. There were a lot of goal scorers in this game. For the Swans, 4 each to Lewis and Kapler, and 3 each to Minton, Connell, Lang and Luff. Well, a couple of games down in Melbourne. Let's quickly take you down to highlights of the last quarter of the game between Geelong and Carlton at Carlton.
Well, on that occasion, the umpire allowed play to, well, be resumed by a bounce. Here's a chance now for Pickering across his left shoulder. Ablett, very, very good. No wonder you won a Brownlow medal. Yes. You are the best fence sitter of all time. Ablett goes for goal. He doesn't miss those, Gary Ablett. Clear Bond successfully to Hannah. Hannah off that left foot, up towards full forward. Oh, great mark. Has to be a Kernahan mark. This is his opportunity to be the leading goal scorer on the ground and give Carlton what I would think could be a match-winning lead. Mitchell, he's had, what now, 20 possessions, and his kick has been marked by Kernahan. Stephen Kernahan, 50 metres from goal. Looking to kick short, he does in the finish. And a good mark taken by McKay. Well, wouldn't have kicked too many goals, I wouldn't have thought. McKay goes for his kick. It bends around beautifully. It's a goal. Gathering at Hinkley, shrugs the tackle. Little kick by Hinkley, finds McGrath, gives it back to Hinkley. Hinkley's run up from half back. One bounce, kicks it in towards full forward. Marking contest? No, it wasn't. Hickmott got it quite safely in the finish. Hickmott goes for goal. The floating punt kick gets the distance and the accuracy.
And now, as many viewers will be taking replays of the 2 games in Melbourne today, if you don't wish to know the scores of those, look away now. So there they were, 3 games played, some excitement here in Sydney. Certainly hope you've enjoyed the action. Now, there is still the game in Melbourne. It looked like a thriller minute, the game between Collingwood and Footscray. And in our Melbourne studio to take you through the highlights, here's Kate Payton. Evening, Kate.
Good evening, Drew. Hello. Well, Collingwood seemed to be the stronger side going into this 3rd round clash at the MCG, but this week it's Footscray who've attracted all the attention following the sacking of coach Terry Wheeler and his speedy replacement by former Hawthorn coach Alan Joyce. The effect this sudden change of personnel would have on the Bulldogs introduced an element of the unknown into the game, and Joyce's coaching debut is bound to be watched with interest. We'll start the replay with some highlights from the first half, and your commentators are Peter Landy, Dennis Cometti and Don Scott.